Hey, hi, hello, and we are so happy to be back for the continuation of this nightmare of a book. Welcome to Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching, where we cover any and all horror media, be it fantasy, scary movies, you name it. I am Megan, joined
And
by
I'm Rachel.
Rachel.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. That's okay. We're just gonna go with it. So yeah, Rachel's here too, of course. So who's ready to finish Fire in the Flesh? I think we are.
Bittersweet, because we're ready to go, but it's a little bumpy,
A little bit. I will say the back half of this book is much different from the first half.
Yeah.
In a lot of good ways and a lot of ways that we're gonna, trek our way through, but we're in this together, we're all in this together. And after this book, we have one left.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I was getting a little sentimental this morning. I was thinking about it, but as getting ready to come in, and it's like, I'll save like my big sentiments for when we finish it. But I just, I'm really proud of us, Megan. We came into this with like a hope and some dreams and some unorthodox chaos of winging it. And I think that we've both learned so much about this entire process, and we're finally at the end.
No, for real. Like, talk about biting off more than you can chew. For not only just never being on camera personalities before,
ever,
but also like producing anything, like learning graphic design, learning editing, learning how to do social media. Like, I definitely suffer from imposter syndrome so much because hearing you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, we did this. It's no biggie though. Like, is it really that big a deal? It's like, yes, it is.
It is. It is. Yes.
It totally is.
We both have imposter syndrome. We're both ADHD, unmedicated. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
but
we're just winging this. It's really not a huge deal, let alone here we are,
right.
However many months later. So yeah, one book left in this series until we get the next From Blood and Ash book in September, and that's going to be Born of Blood and Ash, a book that we have both been reading through for the first time over the last few weeks. Different places in the book at this point. We were just discussing it before we hopped on this morning. But yeah, we're both getting this book finished ASAP. Because, timeline for when we're filming versus the countdown we're about to talk about, that's where it gets confusing. So we're going to move on from that before we confuse too many people. Getting back to the current book in discussion, we're halfway through the book, as we all understand. Sarah is still trapped with Colas. We have gone a full half a book of just horror.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
It's been really, really rough. But I do have to say that this end of the book is, the first half was rough for me. This like section that we jump off into probably takes the cake for the entire book.
Yeah, we're getting into like the stuff that we were introduced to last week was pretty rough, of course. This is gonna take it up a notch or 5. Yeah. So we're definitely gonna throw out trigger warnings of themes of sexual assault, as well as some consent stuff is brought up as well. But that's carrying over from the first half. So if you listen to that, she's still with Colas. I'm sure you can do 1 + 1 = 2 on that one. And then, but on a happier note, before we dive back in, so we're taking on a lot of up and downs in the intro. It's fine.
It's the sandwich effect. I used to do it with my parents when I was teaching. It's a positive, negative, positive.
There we go. So to land on the positive, the ball countdown. What's our countdown? It's tomorrow. So of course we're filming this a week beforehand, but like it's tomorrow when you guys are listening to this. We will probably depending on when you listen to this, we will most likely be getting down on that dance floor either at the ball or partying it up, together in our groups that we're meeting up with on Friday night or tonight, I guess. Speaking of that, like,
so weird. It's so crazy. I'm so excited.
It's insane. Like, I was just looking at my receipts and like just finding my ticket again to make sure I'm like, okay, it's screenshot, it's saved. I'm going to be able to get in. The anxiety,
Yeah. I'm going to need both. I'm going to need you and I to both be wearing some form of like knee pad and helmet when we meet because we're both accident prone. We can't have any accidents before we go to the actual ball.
For real. The heels are only being worn to the ball. It's going to be sneakers, actually. Because, I know you're flying into Iowa on Friday. I myself, when everyone's listening, I'll be in Chicago with Mac.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting.
I would hope to have seen Carol and Kat and Amanda by then. I'm just, oh my God, I can't wait. I'm just, the prospect of it's so crazy. So yes, as you guys all listen to this, we will be breaking it down. Maybe
it's been what, 6 months in planning? Because I think the first little like countdown I wrote on my calendar was 6 months until Blood and Bone. Well, we have a friend in our book club that flew over from England. Like, oh my gosh, so crazy.
Just like people, oh my God, just people that it's just people that we've known for the past 2 years online. You know, the Bardic Book Club just celebrated its two-year birthday, which is where, of course, as you know, me and Rachel met. And it's just crazy how much it's grown to the point that it's like not only in numbers, but in the fact that like we're flying overseas to meet each other. Like, and go to these events and have fun with each other and maybe probably flirt with each other. Like, you know, some sapphic flirting, it's fine. But yeah, I just like, it wows me again and again, and I'm just so happy. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
If you have a project, if you have something that you have been putting off doing because you're afraid, take this as your sign to do it, because you never know where it's going to lead. And it's leading us straight to a ball on a dance floor.
Yes, it's gonna be so good. I've been practicing walking in my heels and I haven't twisted anything yet, but it's only on carpet and then laminated kitchen, so it's not the streets. I don't know what the streets of Des Moines are like, but
it was made for these streets.
But yeah, I estimate that those shoes are coming off as soon as we get to our table.
Probably.
And then I'll put them back on if we have to do some sort of costume walk or whatever. Anyway, I'm getting too far into it, postponing the inevitable once again. We're just talking about anything but this book to not have to do it. But don't worry, the end of the episode, it's going to be all worth it. Don't worry.
It's going to be
no
so
spoilers.
Good.
It's going to be worth it. So yeah, without postponing the inevitable, we're going to pick back up on chapter 26 of A Fire in the Flesh. So we left off, if you forgot, with Vessies showing back up with her big dumb face. She is free, and we don't like that one bit, actually, because we also don't know how the fuck she got free. It's like, ma'am, you were locked down tight. How did that happen? But Vessies does not look like someone who'd been released from a dungeon. Like, she's still super beautiful, she's clean, she's dressed, you know, she's not emaciated, nothing. She looks just as beautiful as ever, which is more infuriating. When bad people are just, like, continuously beautiful, it just makes you hate them more.
I know.
Sarah can feel Satoria's fear, remembering that she'd been in the same position as Sarah when she was living. So this is very triggering for Satoria, I'm sure, having no choice but to just sit there and watch all of this. And Vessies approaches Colas and the dais, hiding the fact that she was held captive by Ash. So she is not telling him this. So lying about where she'd been is lying for him. So very interesting. Just she continuously keeps showing how much she, quote, cares about Ash. And it's just like weird. So Colas tells Vessies that while loyal, she still technically failed him because who's that sitting next to him? Oh yeah, that's Sarah. Ash's so-called consort, which is exactly who Vessies was supposed to report about. And Sarah exposes Vessies to be like, yeah, no, she actually knows who I am, and I met her in the Shadowlands some time ago. Oh, were you supposed to tell him about me? Sorry. And Vessies, you know, Sarah digging her into a deeper hole. Vessies tries to climb her way out of it over and over again, due to not reporting all those details to Colas, but he's not letting her get away with it. The conversation, however, turns like sultry and flirty. So clearly Vessies is like obviously using sexuality as a way to maybe lessen the blow. So she kneels before Colas and essentially offers herself to him, trying to prove her loyalty after everything that was just revealed. And I love the wording describing their relationship. Sarah described it as, it was like being stuck in a toxic circle of rejection and unrequited love. And holy shit, if that didn't hit me in the fucking chest.
Absolutely. As I was like, you know, taking my notes down, I was like, oh yeah, she's already got it. She's already got it in here, because that was like, and I guess that's JLA's mental health background coming into play, her psych background, because it's like, I just hit the nail right on the head with that.
Yeah. Yep. And Veses makes yet another comment about Sarah's looks because that's all she can do at this point. She's just so shallow. And because she describes her and like looks at Sarah saying, I'm sure I could find you something not so crushing. Like, bitch. Like, bullies. Calling someone fat isn't an insult like you think it is.
And that's
fat,
the only that's the only insult that she rides on, because she caught, you know, she referred to Sarah as a fat consort, a fat freckled consort, you know, before. Like, really, that's all that you've got is fat shaming? Like, fuck you. Yeah.
And yeah, it's the fatness does not mean ugly is the whole thing. It's like, yes, like nowadays it's like, yeah, I'm bigger, and if someone were to be like, you're fat, I'd be like, good observation, what else you got?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I will say,
cool, you're skinny.
I do have faith that kind of the beauty world is kind of, you know, and this is a whole different conversation, but I do feel like our beauty world is kind of turning its standards a little bit in that sense. Like, I feel like people advocate for body types much more now than in the past. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But either way, that's all Veses has got. She can't really dig deeper than that, you know? It just shows how dumb she really is. The upstairs brain don't work so good, you know? Colas then tells Veses to apologize to Sarah, and it's like, thank you, but
did not expect that. Did not expect that at all.
Yeah, he says, my love has finally returned to me, which it's like, gag. But Veses does apologize and is clearly uncomfortable with the notion that she failed him and still needs to be punished. So she's definitely not at ease. And Colas says that her punishment will be to serve as, quote, the evening's entertainment. Veses being a woman, what do you think that means? Especially in Colas's court, where orgies are just ever present. So it's Kin that walks up and rips the crown from her head and starts to take advantage of her entertainment role for the night. And he's essentially about to assault her in front of the entire crowd. But Sarah orders them to stop, and the primal essence starts to rise to the surface, even though Colas told her, like, do not use those. He isn't very happy about seeing that. So he takes her back to her cage to speak to her about how she disobeyed him and needs to be punished. And it's like, oh my god, this punishing thing. I'm like, it puts the sour taste in my mouth about the hot parts of like turning the punishing like into a consensual hot thing, like hot kink, not this. And he says, I wanted to show you what I'm risking for you. Like, this man is demented. So yeah, this is where we start getting nothing too like insane yet, but just like be aware that we're stepping into some territory where consent's gonna be an issue, and you get vibes. And they're not good vibes. So he attaches shackles to her wrists and pulls her arms up towards the ceiling, and then attaches 2 more to either of her ankles, which spreads her legs. So she's essentially being hung up by her wrists and her ankles, not touching the ground. And Colas talks about how he wants to hate her for making him do this, but he can only love her. And what kind of fucked up love is that? Like, he says, you disobeyed me repeatedly, yet you live. No one else would. So yes, this is love. And then he cries blood.
Yeah.
The melodrama, it's just, he's so repulsive.
Yeah. Because we know when they, you know, the whole primal tears of grief, right? When they're crying blood. So it really, that entire interaction, and then what we're about to move into, it just really showcases Colas's just absolute disconnect and misconstrue a concept of everything that involves a relationship. Like, absolute ball of yarn of narcissism and just broken. My God.
Yeah. So I guess on some level, thankfully, he doesn't do anything else. He just leaves her hanging like that, which is torture in itself. Don't get me wrong. But I expected that scene to go in a much different direction.
I did too, but I'm thankful that JLA did not. I do have to say, this is one situation where I was very grateful. I was like, I don't know if I can.
Yeah, and I think that's also the importance of not only having someone that's educated in psychological effects of these kinds of things, but also a woman who, whether we know or not, you know, the depth of whatever experiences she's had, I think it's just, it comes from a much different place as far as describing these interactions, where it still makes it so threatening and our reaction so visceral when there's no physical touch even involved. And
yeah, the last part I was going to say in regards to what you just brought up is even with Vessies, even as much of a vile character she is, that entire scene of her having her crown ripped off, even though she may be quote unquote enjoying what's happening to her, and I say this for male or female, I feel like I'm channeling Lady M right now. I feel like for male or female, when you are conditioned to know abuse is pleasure, it wires your brain so different. And that entire scene of her having her crown ripped and being put in that situation, as a woman, my heart did like bleed a little bit. I was like, even though you're a bitch, you still don't deserve that. So
exactly.
That's my 2 cents for that.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. And that's one of the complexities, and really one of the things that makes us love these books so much is the complexity of these characters, where we can take someone like Vessies, have her literally thrown to the dogs, and as much as we despise her, we're still like, ooh, but you're still a living, breathing being, and you don't deserve to be treated like that. So, the human mind.
I know.
So going to chapter 27. So as we said, Colas just kind of left Sarah strapped up in the cage like that. And Callum is in the room keeping an eye on her. And he gives us a little background. The second half of this book, or at least the first half of this episode, very lore heavy. We get a lot of lore while we're in these conversations, especially with Callum. So Callum goes on to describe that Colas truly was better than he currently is before Ethos died. So he loved Ethos even after like the whole killing and taking his power thing. He's like, no, that he still loved him. And it's like, how? Like, I mean, we ask how, but this is Colas we're talking about. And Callum is faithful to Colas no matter what, because he gave Callum eternal life. He explains that Colas didn't kill Sotoria the second time, Ethos did. And Callum feels guilty over her death and not being able to protect her. Okay.
I don't know what to believe at this point. No one is taking ownership for who killed who. What the fuck?
Not at all. Not at all. So later on, Colas comes back to the room and releases Sarah and apologizes for the pain she's in, because since she's been strung up in this position, not being able to support her own weight, all of her muscles are like insanely painful. Like, she's very sore. So a chosen is with him and helps her like bathe because she can barely lift her arms. And he tells Sarah that he stopped Vessi's punishment when he went back, and all Sarah can do is laugh, because like, I guess she won in that sense. Like, she got what she wanted. So I saw that laugh as like almost like a victory laugh, but I don't know. I was like, oh, okay.
It's conflicting, because it's like, is she laughing because of that? Because she does feel like she has the upper hand now, or is she laughing from like disbelief? Like, you came and chained me up, but then said that I stopped her punishment. Like, are you expecting a thank you for trading one act of assholery for another?
Right. Exactly. Chapter 28. The next day, Sarah wakes up to Callum in the room, and she notices a new ache in her temples, which is not good. Colas comes to check on her, and she apologizes for the previous day, recalling the mistress's lessons to become what they desire. And Colas wanted someone that would validate him in his actions, a loyal lapdog like Callum.
Alexa, play Man-Child by Sabrina Carpenter.
For real, though. That's very much so. I was like, oh, you need to be babied and to have someone tell you that you're doing a good job. Okay. So, yeah, that's all we can do. Sarah goes for a walk with Colas in order to please him, and he presents her with something, an opportunity to show her that he can also create life. He doesn't only take it, he can create it. He was going to create a revenant right then and there, which requires the killing of a person. He says life can still be created, even if imperfect, and it must be. For without, the very fabric of the realms would rip apart. Balance must be maintained. Okay. Star Wars? Okay.
Yeah.
And as he goes to bite the chosen that's been presented to him to like turn into a revenant, Sarah asks him not to make it hurt. And surprisingly, he does. And then she notices that, of course, if it's not painful, it's pleasurable. And so the Chosen then starts moaning, and she starts questioning, like, is it any better? Like, is it better to have them be subjected to all the searing pain that comes from being bit like that, or unwanted attraction to the person that's killing them? It's a very back and forth kind of push and pull. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then as the Chosen starts to die, a guard appears named Elias, and he provides the blood to the Chosen instead of Colas. And is that maybe because Colas is the true primal of death? Like, is that why? Because Ash can heal. So that shows that he's primal of life worthy, I guess. So with all of this talk of balance and getting more details, time for our first lore alert.
Lore alert.
So we're going to talk about the ascension and balance. When Ethos performed ascensions, the Chosen would ascend into godhood. But without the embers of life, they become ascended. Get it? Cool. Colas explains if newly ascended Chosen cannot get over their bloodlust, they are put down for the greater good, as if they weren't people to begin with. And when Ethos ruled, gods couldn't control their bloodlust, or gods who couldn't control their bloodlust were also put down, but Colas did all of the killing for him. So Ethos was just like, hey, Colas, go kill that one. Bloodlust, and Colas would go do the killing. He explains the difference between an Ascended and a Craven, which we know the difference. The Craven is like a returned mortal after being fed and killed. Ascended is they've been fully turned. The Ascended are necessary because of the balance, and balance is everything, is in everything. Like I said, the Force. And so we get like a did you know that the primal of death must remain distant from any soul who may one day pass before them for judgment. So that kind of answers a maybe background question that we've had for a while on why Ash doesn't have any friends. Or to him doesn't have any friends. The Array do not believe the primal of life needs such restrictions, even though he could change or influence any god or mortal's life for the better if he wanted. So the primal of life could make friends, have close loved ones, all of that jazz, but the primal of death could not. And creating the Ascended is a part of maintaining the balance established when the ancients created the realms. So Ethos only created some, Colas is creating quite a lot. Everyone got that? Good.
I re-listened to that so many times, and I just was like, I'm just gonna wait for Megan. I'm just gonna wait for Megan.
It is so much to pull apart and try to make sense of.
Yes.
The information's in there. You just gotta really just sentence by sentence try to decipher.
I was like, if I stare at it long enough.
Yeah. Sometimes reading those for the first time, it's just like, she's trying to speak to me. I know it. So Colas goes on to give us a bit more of a lore drop here. He says, they also decreed, they being the Array, that there must be death and vice versa. Just as every action has a reaction, one cannot exist without the other. And it would not be as simple as there only being life if there was no death, or only death if there was no life. So, there must always be the primal of death and the primal of life, even if nothing more than a spark of embers remains in them. Even if they are in stasis or hidden within a mortal bloodline, as long as the embers exist in some fashion and life is created and taken, the balance is maintained. Got it?
I think
that's important.
It is important, but I think the Array need to be put in timeout for a little bit because they're doing a whole lot of giving the rules and saying what can and cannot be done, and they're not very helpful, right?
Yeah, the amount of like rules, but then sub rules to the rules that leave in these little like loopholes, like the spark of embers.
Yeah.
So that's why the realms haven't come tumbling down, as we're aware, because Sarah carries the embers of life in her. But yeah, so as long as they exist in some fashion, life is created and taken, the balance is maintained.
And it's like, okay, I get it. It's like y'all's entire universe and stuff and balance of life, and it's kind of important. But can y'all just like have a good time for once?
Yeah. We ought to do what we ought to do. Being kind to one another, you know? So in this math equation of 5 + 5 = 15,000, due to this, Colas cannot be killed.
That's
and
right.
Not that like he physically cannot, but like they can't kill him at risk of destroying the realms.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a primal of life, it must be a primal of death. And there's no one to replace him if he dies. Chapter 29, Sarah's thinking this over, that Ash doesn't carry the true embers of death. If the primal of death is killed, another must ascend to take his place, but no one carries the embers. Hence, Colas can't be killed. So, frustrated by that, why would Holland have trained her to kill the primal of death if he couldn't be killed?
Come on.
Fucking array.
That's what I'm saying. Literally, they just come and they're like, let's go play with our little people. And let's,
they're playing Polly Pockets with us.
We need a fucking From Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire themed Polly Pocket set.
That's so niche.
We need that.
Not even Barbies. Polly Pockets.
I need scary ass looking Craven and fucking
a chewy tunic. Give me a tunic to chew on. Okay? If you didn't chew on your Polly Pockets clothes, you're lying.
Oh, I know.
Okay?
Oh, for sure.
Anyone listening out there, if you say, I never chewed on those, I never chewed on a pair of board shorts that my Polly Pockets wore. Lie.
Liar. You're lying.
Everyone eats their not eats, but chews on them. Maybe that was one of my first instances of stimming. Have you seen the videos where people are doing the clapping thing over their ears and you hear the noise coming in and out?
Oh my God.
And they're like, oh, when I was doing this in the middle of a crowd when I was young, I'm like, oh my God.
Let me tell you, being a parent of someone on the autism spectrum, I've learned a lot about myself. I've been I needed an IEP in school. I needed a 504.
Hey, you know what? You could learn things from your kids too. I'm sure.
Yep.
On both ends, I'll
be talking to a psychologist and be like, so if someone were to do this,
if someone my age were to have done that. So now, given that the primal of death, Colas, can't be killed, we have to think of another option for how to defeat him. And her gaze lands on the star diamond. That could definitely hold primal embers, but she's doubtful that it would also hold a soul as well. So if we're kind of putting together pieces, we'll come back to those puzzle pieces making that big picture. Callum enters the room again, and Sarah now feels Ash's words from her dream saying, you need to tell him that you will die without me. So that's his plea to her. Be like, that's how you can save me. And Sarah feels a hum in her chest, meaning a primal is approaching. But it's not Colas, so who is it? It's fucking Vessies again. She has indeed come to see Sarah, not Colas, and convinces Callum to leave them alone. So she tells Sarah that she isn't here to thank her for trying to stop her so-called punishment. And Sarah's like, cool, I don't want your thank you. And Vessies tells us that she does in fact enjoy it and likes Kin's sadistic edge. And it's we ain't kink shaming, but what they were doing was a whole lot different.
Yeah, for sure.
And Vessies explains that when Colas really wants entertainment, he'll give her to a Draken instead and watch. Disgusting. Sarah having none of it, really. She calls Vessies out that she's attracted to Kin's sadistic nature because, oh yeah, she's a sadist. Funny how that works. And as Sarah is about to tell her that in the mortal realm, they call what was happening between them rape, Vessies stops her saying it was nothing. Yeah. That's important. But getting back to kind of the origins of how the fuck are you even here right now? That's because she chewed her own arms off to free herself from her shackles.
Good Lord.
She ate through her arms.
Rune
oh my God.
Crown Prince of the Valbaran Bay.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it.
Well, I did.
Spoiler alert for Crescent City 3, I guess.
She even tells Sarah, she's like, oh, you should have seen my nubs. And I was like, Vessies, really?
She literally had the Deadpool baby hands at one point. We didn't get to see it.
That is exactly what I thought of.
She was probably just rubbing the chin like Deadpool when he's... So moving on, she's bringing some news to Sarah that she relishes in. There's doubt that Sarah is who she claims to be, that she's actually not Sotoria. And Vessies tries to push her buttons, making comments about Ash, or nagging Sarah on, nagging her on and to force her to break down. Instead, Sarah has a gotcha moment and tells her she knows about the deal that Vessies made with Ash. It's like, oh, gotcha, bitch. The deal that Vessies wouldn't tell Colas about Sarah being in the Shadowlands. So, fucking checkmate. Okay? Like, you trying to play games? Watch who you're talking to, okay?
Yep.
And as soon as Vessies tries to spin it again, telling Sarah that Ash enjoyed it the whole time, she calls her out and shuts her up. Vessies also tries calling Sarah a whore. Wow, what a zinger. You know, that she had Ash but wanted Colas too. Like, girl, no, not at all, actually. Like, Vessies is so delusional in her head. Like, she sincerely thought that Sarah was like, you had Ash and then you wanted Colas too. It's like, what the fuck? No.
Well, I think
never actually.
Yeah, her vision, her view on everything relationship related is skewed. So I think that's how she looks at everyone else too. Like, oh, because I think this way, you know,
she projects hardcore.
The same way that Colas thinks not killing someone is the bare minimum of showing them he loves them. You know?
Yeah. And so Vessies couldn't have Colas because he just refused to have her. So she went for his nephew instead, but he also didn't want her. So, like, she's like taking this out on Sarah because she's like, I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, what a vain fucking being. Like, oh my god. She reveals that she leveled her court when Colas brought Sotoria back to life. Obsessive much?
Regina George.
Yes, very much so.
George.
She is, 100%. And, like, Vessies would rather see Colas alone than be with Sotoria again. So that's why she's so hard-pressed going after Sarah as well. Even though she doesn't fully believe that Sarah's Sotoria, like, it doesn't matter. It's still, like, a figurehead. And as Vessies goes to leave, Sarah tells her she's sorry for what happened to her in the council hall, but will also do everything in her power to see Vessies burn before she dies. Right on. Later on, after she eats, Sarah gets ready for bed, and upon going to her bed around, like, this privacy screen that she has up in her cage, Colas is laying on the bed. Ew. He tells her that Ash is being prepared to be released soon, unless a reason arises to not make that happen. So, kind of saying something without saying it directly. He only wants to sleep beside her, though. No sex. Once again, we thank you, JLA. And he also reveals that he's been with no one since Sotoria. So, the man's been, like, faithful.
Like 200
centuries.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like 200 years. Isn't that what it says?
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Sarah gets into the bed and sleeps on her side. And then he comes up, like, behind her and, like, has a big spoon, and they sleep, and he's big spooning her. And, like, I've been big spooned by someone I did not want to be big spooned by, and it's fucking, it's so,
it literally makes you want to crawl out of your skin.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I'm like, I want to be anywhere but here right now, actually. Yeah. And chapter 30, Sarah wakes up and her gums are bleeding again, so her ascension is coming up pretty quick. Colas appears that morning with a couple of guards and asks if she wants to go for a walk, like a dog. Sarah asks him about the Revenants, and he explains that they have no wants or needs, and they don't need food, blood, sex, love, companionship, and they're free of any mortal or godly desires. What an awful existence that sounds like.
Yeah.
Callum, though, is different because he still lives, quote, with those wants. So he still has those kinds of desires. Ethos used to say that his own motivations came into account when creating life. So what he felt in that moment would shape whatever life he's creating. For other Revenants, Colas feels like only duty in creating them, so that would explain why they don't feel anything. It's like, you're simply here to serve.
Right.
But Callum, he felt everything from desperation to anger to joy, you know, a whole range of emotions. But Colas says that Callum isn't the only one Colas has felt those things with, like, while creating them. But they're still, like, copy and paste Revenants. So no one's like Callum because his emotions they're not like Callum because those emotions are now dulled and non-existent, including Colas. Like, he doesn't really feel those things anymore.
Yeah.
And as they're on their walk, Sarah looks out over the massive landscape and sees black patches kind of farther away on a mountain range in the forests, which is Shadowstone. And that clues her in, and that's where Ash is being held. Ding, ding, ding. She's so smart. We love her. Because I like, reading all of these fantasy books, I'm like, I would be such a loss. I would be dead in the first, like, 5 pages.
Oh my gosh.
Because I would not be able to figure any of this shit out.
That's like The first time I went to an IKEA, I actually shared my experience in the server. I had never been to a physical IKEA store until
Yeah.
I think it was last year. And I walked in and I was like, the fuck is going on? And Silver was like, there's a map in there, right? And I was like, no, I didn't even think to look for that. It's horrible.
I love going, IKEA, I wish there were more of them, but I get why they're not, because they need such a large amount of room.
They do, yeah.
Massive fucking warehouses.
Now that I've been, I'm like confident going back. But I was like, so yes, in the world of fantasy, you and I, we're going to need a couple additions to our party for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to need some party members with high intelligence.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm thinking, when you went to IKEA, did you get the Swedish meatballs?
I didn't.
You gotta go back and get the meatballs.
I think that maybe it was my social anxiety, and because I'd never been there before, and I was like, I don't know how to order, so I literally walked into the cafeteria and walked out.
Okay. So this is good news. When you come for King Richard's, the IKEA is down south, close by where we pass it to get to King Richard's Fair. So
I would love a group trip to IKEA.
That would be so fun. Okay, I'll float it in the Discord to see if people on the way back from Ren Fair would want to make an IKEA stop to get some Swedish meatballs.
Just say, no questions, guys. This is very important for Rachel's growth.
Not only going after Ren Fair, but being dressed up after Ren Fair, walking around in IKEA.
I love it. It's gonna be the best weekend ever.
I can't freaking wait. Okay, great. So, yes, she's figured out where Ash is being held. Now we get like a mini lore alert. So it's like, mini lore alert.
Mini lore.
The Fates killed most of the gods that lived here. But why? Well, they were trying to restore balance. So after Colas killed Ethos and took the embers, he gave the gods a choice. Either follow him and live, or refuse to follow him and die. What a choice. Half refused, and those were killed. And then this made the Fates very angry, because it's like, you just completely wiped out half a species, essentially. So they wiped out those who chose to follow Colas. So they wiped out essentially the other half. It's like, okay, the balance, I guess.
God.
And Colas does acknowledge that he acted rashly, but doesn't say he regrets the decision. It's like, yeah, I might have overreacted like a little bit, but it's fine.
If Colas had a tattoo, it would be no regrets on his chest.
Yeah. No regrets.
No regret.
The Millers forever. So he tells her that he looks at her and does see glimpses of, quote, how you once appeared. And he goes on to say how she's different in her attitudes and looks from Sotoria, and that he wishes that she looked more like how she used to. But Sarah's not necessarily unattractive either. It's like, what a backhanded fucking, attempt at a compliment.
Yeah, I'm so glad that my face is your place for judgment. Please tell me more.
Right. So, Sarah's still hot, very attractive, but just not in the way that he wants her to be.
God.
He offers to make it up for upsetting her, because, of course, she's like, what the fuck? And so he's like, oh, I made you angry. And she's like, yeah, you did. And yeah, and he's like, oh, well, how do I make it up to you? How can I make it up to you? And a typical toxic manipulator. And so she tries to take advantage of this and makes this big long deal about describing her mother's diamonds and her jewels and how much she loved to look at them. And she had this one diamond that was so large and and perfect and beautiful. And she's like, would you happen to have a diamond like that? And he's like, I do.
Atta girl.
Super smart play, but I feel like she played it up way too much.
Yeah.
The more I'm listening, when I was rereading it, I'm like, girl, pedal off. Foot off the pedal. You're going too hard. Pushing too hard.
Yeah, but we know that Colas loves his ego strokes, so maybe she was like, let me ban him.
Worked for who she was trying to manipulate, and that it does. And he takes that bait and offers to take her to it. And he takes her back to her cage, and she's like, what? And then he tells her to look up at the cluster of diamonds that she's seen up on the ceiling. So he lifts up, he says a primal phrase, and then the diamonds kind of come together to reveal the star diamond. So it's been hidden above her the entire time. What? And then even Sarah has that moment of it was above me the whole time.
Because then I refreshed my own brain with the lore, our lore background. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the diamond that the Fates blew up a fucking mountain for. Got it. Right.
Yep. Chapter 31. Colas hands over the star to Sarah, and she can feel the energy from the stone flow through her arms as a silvery white light inside starts to move around and like expand. So there's like something lively in there, like it's moving around freely. And Sarah then sees a bunch of images in her mind. And we're going to go through them now. First, she sees a lush forest with a wooded area on a mountain. And there's a man in a windstorm with long dark hair. Features are covered in ink, and he has eyes the color of the realms. He yells at the sky, and hot air comes from the mouth of a dragon, followed by flames. They flow over the man until nothing remained where the man had stood, only scorched earth. And a diamond sinks into the ground, burying itself. Images shift to another man, black-haired and holding the diamond tightly. Silver eyes, filled with shock, staring at a man across from him with golden hair sharing his features. So now we get another lore alert.
Another
It's
one.
chock full of them. Told ya.
It is.
Now, we are inside a memory of Ethos and Colas. The two men are arguing, and Ethos is saying that nothing can erase the past, but Colas merely wants to change the future. This is Colas wanting to bring Sotoria back, and he shouts at Ethos that all there has ever been for him is pain. Like, this man is suffering. And Ethos clearly cares for his brother and would have done anything for Colas's life to be different. But he had the chance to make him happy and refused. So this is not, in fact, Colas pleading for Sotoria's life. This is him taking the embers in order to do so. Ethos' skin starts to crack with ether, pleading that it's not too late to stop what's happening and he can forgive Colas for what he's done. Colas believes that Mycella, who remembers Ash's mother, was in love with him and she was only with Ethos because Colas wouldn't have her. So, like, twisted, completely incorrect. And Ethos tells him that. He's like, brother, not at all, actually.
Yeah.
Like, we loved each other. So even from the start, Colas had a very twisted sense of what love was and who's with who for what reason. Like, he's never been fully, logical, I guess you could say.
He never had a good foundation of it.
Yeah. So Colas is convinced that Ethos is lying to him, though, and as Ethos tells Colas that he loves him, he loves his brother, a rod of white energy pierces his chest through his heart, and time almost stops. And in his last moments, Ethos tells Colas he knows he was capable of this, but had hoped that he was wrong. And Colas yells, almost regretting his actions, as energy explodes from Ethos and fades away. So we get the sense that Colas taking the embers wasn't necessarily on purpose, or at least killing Ethos in the process wasn't the goal. And so Sarah kind of coming out of this vision, she's almost unable to control her words as she just simply says, "You cried." Ooh! Yeah, you did. And it's like, yeah, I cried like a little bitch boy. And it's like, of course we would never fault someone for crying at the death of their sibling, but like, it's Colas and we hate him and he's a piece of shit, so we can make fun of him for it.
What's so funny is I was going to come out and say, I don't have any siblings, but reading that scene was just so moving to me and I cried. And then you're like,
yeah, fuck you. Me with two younger sisters, I'm just like, yeah, fuck you. Sibling love is a special kind of love.
But yes, it is. That instance with Sarah is very funny because it's like, is she being like shocked? Like, oh my God, you cried? Or is she being like, you cried?
Yeah, because she says it like almost involuntarily. Like,
right.
She can't help but say it.
Yeah.
And he does not like hearing that. And so he grabs her by the arm, demanding she tell him what she saw. And he's causing quite a lot of pain while he's grabbing her and he's shaking her. It's not like a light grasp on her arm. So he tosses the star back up to the ceiling where it's hidden. So Sarah now knows what is inside the diamond. What had seen everything that had happened in this cage. We'll tell you in a bit. But if you can't figure it out, we'll tell you. Colas asks if she saw him, the king of the gods, or her, quote, once frightened maiden turned whore. So he keeps calling her a whore. Like, because he's, the fact that she's her own person and has done what she wants with her sexual escapades in the past makes
Mhm.
her a whore,
But
because
yet
God forbid a woman lay.
he claims that he, you know, loves her so much and he's waited so long for her, but then gonna turn around and call her a whore. Like, bro.
Yeah, it's like, I've remained so faithful to you, but
But
then
you're a
you're a
whore.
whore. It's like, oh my God.
I'll give you the world, but you're a whore. Like, shut
Yeah.
up.
And so, losing control of her anger at this point, Sarah blasts her with ether, and he releases her in shock as she falls to the floor. She shouldn't be able to use the ether in the cage of ancient bones. So this was the embers. And we remember, Colas does not want her using the embers. So his skin thins and reveals the bones underneath, which is the face of true death. A face no one sees and lives long afterward, as Colum had told her previously. So now we're going to get into some pretty hectic tense stuff here. So Colas grabs her by the throat and lifts her off the ground, and his face is now completely bone. Tells her not to blame him because she caused this. It's her fault that he has to do this. Like, never his fault. No accountability. So she's thrown back across the cell onto the bed, and Colas levitates above her, and she, like, scrambles to the other side of the bed to try to get away from him. And he grabs her by the hair, yanks her back, and she yells at him to get off her, but he remains, causing her to panic, and she starts to feel like she can't breathe. So he's, like, got her on her stomach, I'm pretty sure, and he's just, like, pressing onto her on top of her back, which causes her to flash back to Wayfair with because this is what Tavius used to do, remember? And she starts to feel very trapped. She knows Colas will bite her, and it won't stop there. So she is essentially very powerless in this moment. And her thoughts come back to what she has, though, like within her. She has the embers. They belong to the primal of life, and they belong to her.
Right.
So she has this really fucking awesome moment where she thinks up to herself, like, she is not powerless. She is not weak. She was capable of anything. She refused to let him bite her and take advantage of her. She says, I didn't lose control. I fucking took it. And that's where
right.
Where we put the gif in of Erin from The Office when she's in this, just like, yeah.
Yes. Hands down, that is like that line, that those two small lines, the power in them in the world of romantasy and fantasy, and then just beyond that, like,
yeah,
oh my God,
it's such a good hype moment,
so
because
good.
you feel panicked with Sarah as she starts to feel panicked,
Yes.
and you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no, this is gonna get really, really bad.
I
And then
did.
she's able to turn her own thoughts around and be like, actually, you know what? Fuck that.
Because I did think in this scene where he was like, you are making me do this, I did think that we were going to get a non-consensual sex scene. I did think that she was going to be raped here.
I did too.
Yeah, 100%. And so her saying that line, I didn't lose control, I fucking took it, I think is such a homage also to people that have been survivors of sexual abuse or any type of abuse. So just, I could go on and on.
Sarah summons the essence and embraces the rage that she's pushed down for so long. Not only the rage with Colas, and for him and her time here, but the years of abuse and centuries that didn't belong to her. Satoria rises inside of her, and her voice comes out of Sarah saying, "Get off us."
It's the Bene Gesserit coming out.
So Colas freezes at the sound of that, and she takes advantage of it and gets to her feet. So Colas was more bones than flesh at this point, which is a terrifying visual. And Sarah summons more ether, and shit goes crazy. She says, I am done with this. And objects start to shatter and turn to dust. Furniture starts to levitate, and using her will, she pictures the ether traveling through the wooded area to where Ash is being kept, and uses the power to blast through the Shadowstone walls, floors, and chains. Then she sees ether-streaked silver eyes snap open, and we know who that is. Oh! Oh, it's so hype. Oh, it's so hype.
That entire scene is so badass. It's so fucking good.
It's so freaking good. So Colas knows what she's done now and who she freed. And Sarah's power explodes, which throws him back, and it shatters the bones of herself.
And he's He's still stuck on Sarah saying us.
Yeah.
She just looks at him and goes, "Shut up."
Oh, it's so good. So she sends the shards of the bone cage flying towards him, which catches him in the legs and the stomach. So he's just pincushioned all the way up his fucking legs. Gets one through his shoulder. And now he's a little scared because he starts pleading with her as if that's going to get him anywhere. Sarah quotes Colas from the memory of Ethos, telling him there's no coming back from this. And that just makes him go fucking white. And as she approaches him with a bone that's burning in her grasp that she fights through, she steps on one of his arms to pin him there, so he's completely helpless. And Sarah leans over him and stabs him with the bone of the ancients again and again. He ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10. She stabbed him 6 times, but we'll give her 10. Then she feels, in italics, him. And Sarah astral projects through the castle, which I forgot about, in order to find him. And she sees him. I'm gonna get chills. She sees him all dirtied up and he's bloody. And he's got sharpened features, indicating that he hadn't been eating much, if at all. He'd been feeding as far as on blood because blood was dripping down his chest and throat from his mouth. Like, he's just covered in it. And it reminds me so much. I'm sorry, it's gonna go back to Twilight. It reminds me of New Moon when we see Edward walking out in Italy. I'm like, that's kind of the physique that I picture on Ash here, minus the sparkles. But like, so yeah, he's so starved and tortured, but he's so hot. Like, this is a moment where I'm like, ooh, okay, I see you, Ash. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Let me get my box out.
Oh, he's bloody, dirty, and shirtless. God. Of course I'm gonna be like, okay.
Because he's just storming, she can see him and he's storming through the halls. He's like, where is she? And when they don't give him an answer, he just like fucking eats them, right? He's like, okay, fuck you, moves on to the next one. And then she's like, I guess you'd call that fast food.
Yeah. I think at one point he approaches some guards and he goes, you can try to run if you really want to. Yes. And so they do, and he's just on them immediately. It's so good. It's so good.
I almost wore my morally gray shirt because just this entire scene, like storming through the fucking building, looking for his wife and just biting the necks of whoever doesn't give him an answer. Like, fuck yeah, count me in.
Yeah. So yeah, she watches him tear through guards, and then she feels a sharp pain, and she's like thrust back into her body. So she feels very nauseous and having trouble breathing, and she starts to sweat. Then she starts to feel the embers hum, and her palm warms, indicating that Ash was almost there. Sarah collapses as Ash enters the room and calls her Lisa, saying he's got her. And so yeah, this is chapter 32. 32 chapters, we're finally back together.
Yeah.
And Nektas has also arrived and is killing the other Draken outside. Ash says, I will always find you, Sarah. Swoon. She questions if this is actually a dream, and he reassures her that this is real, and he's there with her. Ash assures her, once again, it's real. But Sarah refuses to admit that she's not okay, and obviously no one else believes that. He sees Colas's fang marks on her neck, and he gives Colas's like limp, unconscious body this like dark look, and he's about to go after the body, but Sarah tells him not to. He's furious at the thought of her abuse, and she tries to tell him that nothing happened, but he's like, I could feel your fear, panic, and desperation the whole time. Like, I know that something happened. And Sarah reassures Ash that she wants Colas dead as much as any of them, but he can't die, and they also can't stay here. That's when Elias shows up, and Ash wants to kill him, which makes Sarah horny. And Elias bows before Sarah, promising to serve the true primal of life.
Let's go. So that's like, sorry.
No.
I was just going to say, so like all the instances, so like in the last, in our last episode, like the notes that I was making of how all of her interactions with Elias, it's like he kept studying her, right? Like that line is mentioned so in all of their interactions, like his gaze was like locked on to me, right? So now we know that, like, okay, I guess he knew all along. Maybe is he only doing it because Ash is biting the necks of everyone who refuses?
Right. Yeah, like what's your level of loyalty here? So we'll find out though.
Yeah.
There's more to Elias that we'll come to know.
Right.
And Ates also appears to tell them that they need to get the fuck out of there before reinforcements arrive. And I agree. Everyone is just sitting around not doing anything. I'm like, Shadow, step the hell out of there. What are you doing? I expected it to be like, I'm here. I've got you. Gone.
Need
But
y'all
they
to
are
fucking
just, they're
1-2 step out of there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, we're on the same page. It's like we're both just so worked up by the fact that they're not moving ass. Like,
oh, move your ass.
Because literally, I think we're just trained to know, like, this is how I always know someone's gonna die in a movie or TV show if there's a lingering shot or something, like they're not looking at where the conflict is, and I'm like, well, that's you're gonna die. You're taking too long.
Yeah.
Like, Sinners spoilers, but when I first saw Sinners and Annie had that moment where she looks over, she goes, they could feel his pain. I'm like, no, you're gonna
right.
And she did. So yeah, anytime that people are like lingering in a space that they shouldn't be, and I'm like, get the fuck out, get the fuck out, get the fuck out, please leave. So Ates pleads his case to Ash to save his own life and Ash's life. And Ash punches him instead because man. So once that settles down though, they've got their anger out. And once again, get the fuck out of there. It's not the time or the place to be doing this. They revisit what to do with Colas. So they can't necessarily take him with them, but Elias says that he can hide him and make his recovery last longer. He's like, I can postpone his recovery. It's like, yeah, chop him up to bits. And so they decide, like, cool, good plan. So Ate summons Seti from his band to assist, and it's just like, Seti, see you had baby. Horsey baby. And before they leave, Sarah remembers the star diamond because how could you forget? Like, just the way that was written, Sarah's just like, oh my god, I almost forgot. It's like, how? This happened I mean, granted, I say this happened 5 minutes ago. I walk from one room to another and forget what I was looking for. So in the context of this book and these characters, in that moment, I said, how?
Not like you didn't just get your ass beat or nothing.
That's true. She beat someone else's ass.
That's true.
So yeah, she remembers it and goes to retrieve it, but Ash doesn't want her to use the embers anymore. And she notices, like, they are no longer like a hum in her chest. She can feel them throughout her entire body, and she knows that she's dying. And Sarah says that she needs to get the star anyway because his father's soul is inside. Surprise!
Yay!
Your dad's in there. Chapter 33, and it breaks Ash to say it, but he won't risk her for his father's soul. But that won't stop Sarah, obviously. She summons it and gets slightly dizzy, but is successful. They decide to call on Keela for her assistance, since she's the one to help Colas bring Satoria back in the first place and transfer the embers and all that. They shadow step out of the cage, fucking finally, to Delos, and they being Nyktos or Ash and Sarah, rather. And they go to Delos to some hot springs in the mortal realm to have some time to themselves and clean up. Ash once again asks if Shio's okay, and she nods, and we say, Sarah, but then takes a moment to be vulnerable with him and share her true feelings, and we say, good. She told him how afraid she was, and they say what they could or should have done, but none of it matters because they aren't there anymore. So the coulda, woulda, shouldas don't necessarily really matter because they're there, they're together, and they're okay. Ash tells her that no one else knows about these hot springs, so they're truly alone. They briefly discuss Ash's thoughts about his father's soul being trapped in the star, like if he thought she could be Sotoria, but he says he always saw her as Seraphina.
No.
She tells him everything she saw in her vision when she touched the star, and says that Colas didn't mean to kill Ethos. He hadn't realized that Ethos was weakened when he stabbed him because he didn't know that he had transferred the embers.
Yep.
So that's why Colas was crying, because he didn't understand that putting the beam of light through his chest in a weakened, like, he didn't know that was going to kill him in his weakened state.
I just wanted to stab you because I was mad. I didn't know I was going to stab you and kill you.
I just wanted to take the embers for myself. I didn't know that you already gave them to somebody else.
Right. Fuck.
And moving on from that conversation, though, she puts the star down, and Ash tells her he failed her. Colas took her, which is what he'd been working all this time to prevent. And Ash, at this point, just wants to take care of her. He's like, nothing is expected of her in that moment. So she allows him, but he does notice her, like, shaking and almost wincing when he goes to touch her. And she assures him, almost panicked, that Colas didn't touch her and he shouldn't worry about touching her. She's still who she was before she was taken. And then Sarah starts to spiral into a panic attack. And Ash helps her through it with like her breathing exercises and talking her through it, saying, "You've got this, I've got you." And it's really touching. Because yeah, Sarah gets very frantic and like her thoughts start spiraling. And if you've ever experienced an anxiety attack or a panic attack, you kind of know how that can just tumble out of control really quickly. So yeah, that moment with the two of them and him manually helping her like slow her breathing was so touching between the two of them. She asks him if he'd touch her, like the first time she took a bath in front of him, and he obliges and immediately starts kissing her. And she says, "It was so apparent that he didn't see me as a fragile piece of glass."
I love that.
And the two of them just delicately bathe each other in the water afterwards. It's very sweet.
It's so intimate. Like the whole act of that, like of bathing each other, you know, the whole, you know, we've brought it up before, like braiding of the hair. It's just those small, intimate moments that just amplify.
Yeah. Chapter 34, they're still in the hot springs, and Sarah asks what will happen when she dies. Like, what happens to her soul, in particular. But Ash doesn't know, since they have a bond between them, he cannot see her path. Remember, once a primal formed a bond with mortals or gods, they no longer can influence their lives, so they can no longer see kind of their path. They get on the topic of dreams, and those dreams that they had together, the sexy dreams. And in particular, his woven form that would appear in nearly every dream happened to line up with when he was in stasis. So a part of his consciousness was still alert to like find her. And immediately I'm just like, heartmates?
The heartmates.
Hello?
100%.
Heartmates?
100%.
And so they kind of like flirt a little bit and move on, but then they move on from the steamy conversation about his shadow form in particular. And he goes to retrieve clothes for her, since there's no way she's putting the gown from Colas on again. And Sarah is now alone in the hot springs, and she takes those moments to take in her surroundings and speaks to Sotoria inside her, telling her she will not be trapped inside her forever and they'll get her out. She feels a thud within her in acknowledgement, and that freaks me out. I'm just like, I would be so freaked out if that happened. This is also why I just cannot imagine being pregnant, because I'm like, that would freak me out so bad, having this other thing inside me. It's a baby, but
well, no, but listen, that is such a real statement that I don't know that a lot of people talk about that, but I will.
Go for it
for a second.
Yeah.
Now, I was young when I was pregnant. I was 21 when I had my son. So all of my friends are like in college still and out partying and etc. So I had one other friend who was a couple of years older than me that I was pregnant with at the same time. But that is such like because there's no guidebook of what to expect, right? So yes, going through the entire pregnancy of like all of the changes and feeling the kicks, while I did enjoy it, the first time I cried. I'm dead serious. I was terrified. I was so scared.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I was terrified. And then when I had my son, I remember after like family had come and seen us, and then everyone left and it was quiet and I was holding him, I literally was like, how do I keep him alive? Like, what do I do? So yes, very, very real, valid fear.
Great. Appreciate that. Yeah. No, it's just anytime there's like a mention of that, I just go back to Step Brothers. Yep. Oh my gosh. It's like, just your little ball of my vagina.
You know what I was going to say though? What? My mom, because I know we've chatted about doing Aliens and Predator at some point. What was my mom watching last night? Aliens. And so the little tapping on the inside of her, I was like,
you got a xenomorph in there? Did you come into contact with a face hugger by chance? So yeah, that moment, I was like, sweet, but also,
yeah, absolutely agree with you on there.
So yeah, Ash returns, letting her know that Bella is well, as Ios, and they discuss if they can trust Ates or not. Sarah says that she does. Ash is like, less so. But Ates did swear allegiance to her, so that's gotta count for something. Sarah tells Ash that he needs to remove the embers, and soon. She's dying, and if she dies with the embers inside of her, millions could perish because of it. And I expected this to be like, yeah, you know, we had like maybe a week left, like whatever. She says we might not even have a day. I'm like,
what? The fuck?
I was baffled. I was like,
yeah.
a day? Oh, okay. So now they shadow step into the Bonelands in Lasagna, and it's beautiful. Not what you'd expect by a place called the Bonelands, but Ash explains that everything has like grown over the remains of like millions of fallen. So it's like, while they're not walking on physical bones, they are walking over the remains that have like transformed and been retaken by the earth over time. So now we have, guess what? Another lore alert. This one is about the War of the Ancients. What was the cause? Because if there's one thing that none of us miss from high school is learning about wars and why they start and just how simple that really is, right? So the cause, there's one thing and many things. Okay, off to a great start. Elaborate. Possibly, please. So the ancients didn't feel emotions like mortals or primals, at least before the first of them fell in love. They were simply created that way. They were still empathetic to the needs of their kids and mortals and had empathy until they didn't. What happened was time passed and they began to lose connection to others. Ethos said they started seeing anything not created by them to be parasites, and displeased with the way mortals were changing in their world, the destruction of land to, quote, advance themselves. Does that sound familiar at all? Maybe like industry and capitalism in the world, maybe. So the ancients in this are acting almost like Mother Earth. They eventually looked down at the mortal realms, and the ancients only saw the death that they would create, nothing else. So they decided to cleanse the lands and clear it of mortals, seeing as they were capable of creating and destroying a realm in one breath. And so that's a terrifying amount of power. So to prevent that limitless power, some ancients would lessen their power by creating primals and transferring some of their energy or essence into their children. So it's all about that balance. When the ancients decided to cleanse the land, the primals, gods, mortals, Draken, they all fought back. Even Colas fought back on the side of the primals. So that was what kind of started and jump-started that War of the Ancients that essentially put them all in the ground. That's your history lesson, okay?
Ta-da!
A new appreciation for teachers who teach history, because how the fuck
Seriously.
do you do that with like real world politics and economics and social, just all of it? Oh my god.
Yeah,
Insane.
Being a historian, I feel like, is just an absolute different level of just knowledge of life, of just
like
existence.
Just how you process information and store that said information, like
can you imagine
wild.
the people that work for that like have access to the Vatican archives?
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
For real.
The stuff, oh my god. We'll have to like make a segment on our podcast for stuff like that, because I could talk about that stuff for fucking weeks.
Hey, maybe the more comfortable we get in here, we can branch out and like sprinkle in some true crime stuff here and there. Because we're by no means professionals in that area, but maybe we could dabble and, you know, do some minor research and things. Because there's for sure a movie I want to cover that is tied to Jonestown, and
Yep.
I'm in the middle, or like I had started the book The Road to Jonestown, which I highly recommend for anyone who is interested in that massacre, because it was a massacre, it was not a mass suicide. And yeah, wild.
Same with Waco too. I think I've already talked to you about that, though. The one in
Waco.
Oh,
I never thought people thought Waco was a suicide.
Well, yeah, I guess not. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, just like Jonestown over the years has been like held up as like the biggest mass suicide of a cult in history, and it's like, it wasn't a mass suicide. Actually, these people were murdered.
Right.
It was the biggest massacre in a cult. But we'll save that for when we cover it, and I'm very excited to get to that, because oh my god, it's one of my, like, as morbid as it is, it's one of my favorite like historical cults.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Ash asks how Sarah's feeling, and she says tired, and Ash goes to carry her, and she refuses. She says, I'm not dying, but I'm not dead. And he doesn't like that joke all too much, but we do. I got the memory of, quit telling everyone I'm dead!
Yeah.
And so they're walking up to a temple, and Ash tells her that mortals used to live out here, like this close to Elysium. And seeing someone dressed in black walking towards them fast, for a moment I'm like, what's going on? But Sarah asks who it is, and before Ash can ask why she couldn't feel her, she sees that it's Bella, and she hugs Sarah, which is unusual. Bella's not a hugger, so it's
Right.
like, and even takes Sarah a second to be like, Bella was hugging me?
Are you okay?
So Bella is now the primal goddess of the hunt and divine justice. Because remember Ash killed the previous one. Hanan, he pulled his heart out, remember?
Yeah.
Yes. So that caused Bella to ascend to that level. But like Ash kind of was saying, Sarah couldn't feel her, so that's kind of odd. Bella thanks Sarah for saving Ios. And even though she's a primal, she doesn't have a band on her arm just yet, because remember, all primals get that like spot, like band on their arm. And apparently it will just appear when she's ready. And Ash says it took him like a couple years to get his or something, and that Bella's just like, what the hell? I don't want to wait 2 years. And apparently Ates had dropped off Elias and just left. He was not received well, so he's been beat and tied up against a pillar, being watched by some Draken. And Sarah's like, what have you done? Let him go. So I'm going to call him Ethan. I can't do it. So Ethan lands and moves in towards Sarah and lets her touch him, which she's only been able to touch, I think, Nectus, or no, not Nectus, maybe Reaver in that form, or Jadis. But then she finds out that Orphine, who is another Draken, has died.
R.I.P. Morphine.
R.I.P. Morphine.
R.I.P. Morphine.
A real one. And this was Ethan's sibling. So Bella cuts down Elias, letting him fall to the ground head first. I just fucking love Bella so much. She's so great. And so then they begin to climb the stairs, but Sarah's muscles protest, and Ash pleads with her to please let him carry her. And she can't really deny him much longer, so she does let him carry her. And I'm like, girl, if I could be carried everywhere,
are you kidding?
Carry me everywhere. Are you
Seriously?
Serious?
Don't let these tootsies touch the ground.
Yeah, especially after arriving back from captivity. Like, it would be one thing if you're just like, no, carry me everywhere all day. I have perfect working legs, but it's fine.
Right.
But no, I'm like, no, you just got back from being held and tortured. Let him carry you, and you're also actively dying. So arriving at the temple, Sion, Rahar, and Kars await and greet them. And they're Nyktos' friends, even if he hadn't let himself accept it, which is really cute. So Layla and Rain are also there, and Sarah hasn't seen Rain since making the deal with Colas to spare his life. So they have this kind of moment of trading glances for a second. Looking out to the cove, Sarah sees the lands and soldiers among them, an army. Ash tells them that she freed him, and he's only here because of Sarah. The others agree, including Rain. Even though he hadn't told them about the deal, Sarah still gets the feeling that Ash knows about it. Ates arrives, bringing Keela and Aurelia, which is his bonded Draken, and Sarah sees that Nectus and Aurelia might just be a little flirty.
Aww.
And they might have caught feelings because Reaver had kind of made a comment about Neck being sweet on her. So it's kind of cute because obviously we know Nectus's history of losing his mate and like how devastating that was for him. So for Nectus to have another lover, it's just so cute.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. We get like all of these little flirty pairings that get set up. So we get Nectus and Aurelia kind of getting vibes. She also picks up on flirty vibes between Ates and Layla.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Layla is described makes me think, I'm like, is this going to be a thing? Like, it just fully solidifies that like there's no way that Ates is not Castiel's ancestor, right?
Oh, 100%.
Like there's no way. Between the dimples, the flirting, the banter, the like piece of shit energy that he gives, but we love it anyway. Like
the fact the fact that his form is a hawk.
That too. As we learned in the first one, yeah, I think that's a pretty big indicator.
Yeah.
So now they go to meet with Keela and address the star and Ethos' soul trapped within it. Keela confirms that once Ethos' soul is free, they'll be able to place Sotoria's soul inside in his place. The true primal of life can summon the soul from the star, but Ash doesn't want Sarah to be doing that because using the embers could result in her death. And there's no other choice, though. So Sarah's like, literally, what else are we going to do? I gotta do it. And so she begins, and the mass of lights exits the star and settles next to Ash and starts to form into a body, and a hand with fingers brush Ash's cheek. And he addresses his father as the soul begins to rise upward, and he says, I understand. Sarah's heart stutters and is now beating twice like that of two hearts, and pain travels through her chest and she collapses. What a touching moment. Chapter 36. Waking up later next to Ash, she questions if she died, because they're surrounded by like a very brightly colored landscape. It's very beautiful and serene, and Sarah's like, is this essentially like the Flesh and Fire version of, is this heaven?
Arcadia. Are we in Arcadia?
Yeah, Arcadia. Like, is this it? Oh my god, yeah. that was easier than I thought. And he confirms that she did not die, but they are in the Thaya Plains at Keela's palace, and I would like to go to there because it sounds freaking. It's what I want the Spring Court to be. That's what I imagine the Thaya Plains like. Ash tells her that he could hear Ethos's voice once she freed him for the star and thanks her. She says she didn't do too much. All right. I need to take a moment. I wrote a note because, like, I know this is just my own healing journey and me not wanting to take credit for large accomplishments, but I'm getting really tired of Sarah constantly saying this. It's been 3 books, girlfriend. Like, ooh, I'm getting tired of it, but I know that that's just my own psyche being like, hey, you know what this reminds you of?
We love healing through literature.
We do. Makes me see things about myself. And anyway, so Ash says that Ethos told him he loved him and that he was proud of him and the man that Ash had become.
No.
So sweet. And he also told Ash to not forget what he said when they were near the Red River, which is the last time that Ash saw his father as alive. But the problem is Ash does not, in fact, remember that memory.
Fuck!
And it felt like in Harry Potter when Neville gets the remember all, and it's like, I can't remember what I've forgotten. So I loved that part. I'm like, ooh, relatable. It's like, remember what I told you that time at the river, and it's just like, what
the fuck are you talking about?
What time? Like, even Enzo and I will be scrolling through, like, trying to pick a movie to watch, and I'm like, oh, that movie, I've never watched that movie before. That would be kind of fun to see. And he's like, we literally watched it. I'm like, we did? Oh.
I know. I feel so bad. I forgot which. See, I've already forgotten which movies they were, but this happened like twice within the last 2 weeks. I'll like be talking to Zach about a movie. We literally watched that together, and I'm like, oh, did we?
I've done that where I'm like, oh man, I don't know if you've seen this movie. Yes! And then I explain the plot. He's like, yeah, I had you watch it. And I'm like, oh, right. Well,
it was Prey. It was Prey. Because I was telling him, I was like, I said, Megan is the only other person that I've met that's watched it. He's like, Rachel, we watched it together.
Amazing.
My mom does love that movie too. She does love that one.
It's such a good movie.
It's really good.
It's so freaking good. And that's why I'm super excited for Predator Badlands, because it's the same director coming back.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Awesome.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a non-starter that we're going to have to do that at some point. So, getting back to the actual plot, Sarah figures out that Ash gave her blood while she was out, and of course she protests about it. But like, girl, what are you gonna do about it now? What are you gonna do? She's like, why did you do that? You're not strong enough. And he's like, well, I did it anyway. It's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna spit it up? Like, and they argue about it, of course, before Nektas interrupts. And like, how many times can they have the same fight? We should have really kept the tally. We really should have.
We should have, yeah, for sure.
Nektas clarifies that it wasn't just Ash's blood, but in fact his like own will that made it so that she would wake up. So he willed her to wake up, essentially, it sounds like. And he says that the Draken, as well as any primal that is near, will be able to sense the body beginning to die. So he can literally like smell the death on her body now. Different from when he used to say that she smells like death, though. They do make that differential. He can also sense the fading of the embers. And he tells Ash, you know what has to be done, and soon. The clock is ticking down.
Digging our heels.
And Ates and Keela enter, telling them that they need to take care of Satoria's soul. And she says, when Seraphina dies, Satoria will be lost. And that means the only chance to truly stop Kolis dies with that soul. If that happens, nothing will be able to stop him, and you know more than anyone, he doesn't need to ascend to the primal of life and death to wreak havoc. Great news for our pals Poppy, Cass, and Kieran.
Yep, because remember, that's the thing.
When anytime they're talking about how much Kolis can do and all of the damage that he can bring, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yes.
I get sick. I want to
I'm
get
so
sick.
excited for September. I'm also so fucking scared.
Dude, my sister comes to visit the week that book comes out. I'm gonna have to take.
Is she the one that's reading the series?
Erin, you're listening. I know you're out there. Yeah, she comes that week, and I'm like, girl, we're either gonna have to read it together, or I don't know what.
I think you guys should. I think that would be a great bonding experience, and you guys would both have emotional support. I'll be messaging you and be like, can I FaceTime with you guys, please?
Plan is to go to the Ren Fair, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I did this. The last time I did it was for Crescent City 3, but I literally took 2 days off of work to read the book.
Dude,
and then I read Crescent
absolutely.
City 3, and I was kind of disappointed that I took PTO hours for it, unfortunately. But I'm going to do it again for From Blood and Ash, and I know it's going to be a better experience.
Redemption!
Exactly. I won't hate on you if you like Crescent City 3. There's parts of that book that are very enjoyable. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, Sarah lets everyone know that Sotoria is aware inside of her, and Ates confirms he could hear Sotoria's voice coming from Sarah as well. He knew her when Colas first brought her back in Delos. So it's like, okay. So Ates has a history with Sotoria as well. Not romantic history, but he knew her.
Yeah.
And the game plan is they can use the star to transfer the embers of death from Colas, therefore allowing them to kill him. But they can't do that if the star holds Sotoria's soul. They can use the star once Sotoria's soul is reborn and then end Colas. Are we now getting nervous about Poppy and Castile? Yeah. Because this is, you know how beforehand how I said we're going to crash out? Here we go.
I'm going to break out in hives.
My camera's going to shake because I'm like, and we're keeping it in. I don't fucking care. So Keela says, once Sotoria was reborn, she'd likely be raised, Sarah says this. Once Sotoria was reborn, she'd likely be raised as I was, steeped in death and groomed for one purpose only, to seduce and kill. Not to be her own person with a future.
No. We rebuke this. Fucking no.
And just the lineup of the fact that the fact that Poppy is Sotoria, because this is reality for me now.
It is.
I hate it. I hate the reality, but that's what it is. And so if they can only use the star to take the embers of death, that means that Sotoria would have already had to be reborn. That means that that means that the star is available in From Blood and Ash. It's available for Colas because Colas is awake, so that obviously has to line up. And the only other way I could possibly see this going is if they transferred the soul to someone else, but there's too many similarities between Poppy and Sotoria. There's just too much.
There's too many, and then because remember, God, I'm getting fucking angry.
I know.
Angry. So I'm thinking, at the end, I'm sweating. This is so at the end of Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, right? Which now that we're this far in the series, the Flesh and Fire series, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Now I'm stacking my table. When Poppy is in the fucking temple, when she's in the temple and she fucking sees Sarah manifest, right? And she says, I am done with this, all of this. So if she is Sotoria, but she's still seeing Sarah, is she what the fuck?
That's what Sarah had said before. That's what Sarah just said when she was leaving Colas's cage. She said, I'm done with this.
So is Poppy her own person and she somehow has Sotoria in her also? What the fuck is happening?
I fully, so because in the last episode there was a huge emphasis on the whole rebirth, reborn deal, and the fact that if you're reborn, you are that person again, but you're also a different entity at the same time. You are that personality reborn into a new name or something, it sounds like, from what I could gather, which is what. So the second that she revealed that Sotoria means Poppy, I was like, that's it. That's it.
I know.
That's it.
So we will be continuing to go through, how many stages? The 5 or 7 stages of grief. We will be continuing to go through them until September, because now Megan and I are we are set on the theory that Poppy is Sotoria, and we're fucking mad about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So several things need to happen first, though. Keela needs the true primal of life's assistance, so Ash's assistance, and they need to incapacitate Colas until Sotoria is reborn and comes of age, because he'd be weakened by the ascension of the true primal of life. You mean just like how Colas woke up at the end of From Blood and Ash 4? Like that?
Cole and Nyktos, right? They woke up at the same time.
And Sarah. They're all awake.
They're all awake. Everyone's awake from their nap.
Everyone's
so glad.
Awake. Hope everyone had a nice nap. Because
God, I have so much like rage inside me.
We're gonna have to start like wearing heart rate monitors for these episodes, because I genuinely want to know how pent up we are in this moment. Because yeah, the rage I feel building inside of me. So Ash continues to reject the idea that Sarah's going to die, even though it's bigger than her or him. But Sarah loves hearing the words that she mattered, and especially mattered to him. Keela explains that this whole process may anger the Fates, but there's really not much that doesn't anger them.
You know what? Fuck the Fates.
Fuck the Fates. So yeah, because yeah, they're terrible. We don't. They're terrible. No, it's fine. Fuel it. It's great. And so the importance is balance to life, and if there's life, there must also be death. As we know, let's keep bashing that over the head. What they are about to do will upset that balance, as it had upset the balance before when she helped Ethos with Sotoria the first time. Sotoria had died many, many times over the years and was brought back again, reincarnated. But all of that was stopped when they placed her with the Embers. So remember, once that happened, it like stopped that cycle. And that's why, like, with Sarah drinking the blood, and it's all connected. And Sotoria was meant to be reborn, but for some reason they reside in Sarah instead. Maybe because of the Fates, maybe not. I don't fucking care. Keela will need Ash's help to act as an anchor for Sarah's soul as Sotoria's is removed. That sounds terrifying. So it's time to do it, though. And Ates reveals the star, and both Ash and Keela place their hands on Sarah's chest, and Sarah makes a joke about having two primals' hands on her boobies. Keela speaks words in Ancient Primal and coaxes Sotoria's soul from Sarah and into the star. Sarah hears Sotoria speak as her soul is transferred, but at this moment we don't know what is said. Keela says her soul will be kept safe until it's best to allow her to be reborn. She says, once we can be sure that Colas will not be able to find her before she is ready. Deep breath. Because yeah, Colas woke up at the end of From Blood and Ash 4, who also woke up at the end of From Blood and Ash 5, Poppy, and now who's ready to take him on is the primal of life and death, Poppy. We now find out what Sotoria said to Sarah. We will meet again. I want to punch something. I want to hit something.
We need like little desk punching bags.
We really do for that.
I think that we're gonna need them for the ending of the next book. I just have a gut feeling that we are.
I'm gonna need it for the start of the next book.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna need like the biggest stress ball in the world. Like, yeah. I wish I could get a dog in that time, because that's the ultimate just stress relief. Be like, I just need a dog to be petting while I go through what I'm about to go through. And it's gonna suck. So, chapter 37, they shadow step back to the Bone Lands, and they see Elias, and he confirms he was a double agent. So yes, he is in fact a good guy. He excuses himself as Rain approaches, and he thanks Sarah for what she did, essentially the deal. And she is keeping it secret from everyone, and Rain tells her that no one would think of her any differently if they did know. Ash comes over to Sarah, and she looks over all of the faces that she was going to miss, and thinks about Reaver and Jadis, wishing that she could see them one more time. In my heart. She thinks about how it would have felt to have kids with Ash, and clearly projecting her emotions, he asks her what's wrong, and she says nothing, which prompts them to argue, and Rahar pays Scion losing a bet, because they bet how long it would take them to argue. Sarah looks over all of Ash's friends and her friends, and takes mental pictures of them all. Then she asks Ash to take her to the lake. As she goes to say goodbye, one by one, starting with Rain, they all kneel and bow their heads before her. Nectus and Ethon doing the same in Draken form. The gods all cut their hands on their swords and drip blood in front of them. They are paying honor and respect to her, and they all say, "With my sword and my life, I shall honor you in blood and in ash forevermore."
That entire part is just so fucking moving and sad.
It's so, oh my
It's
God,
so
yeah.
sad.
So sad. So chapter 38, now at Sarah's lake, she wants to see her sister and mother, but can't. She wants to be with her husband. Ash is rigid and quiet, not wanting to be there, obviously, but doing it because she asked. She tells him that she wants to talk about something, and once she gets his attention, she tells him she loves him. Grab the tissues, everybody. This scene is tear-jerking. She says, I want you to know I love you, and I will not stop loving you. I wish I'd told you more that I have. Gods, I wish I'd recognized what I felt long before I did. She tells him none of this is his fault, and he interrupts saying there's things he'd rather be doing right now, including teaching her how to swim, taking her to see more of Elysium, and all the ways he could fuck her. And she goes, hang on, what? And he says he'd be more than happy to show her the ways, but she refuses and shakes her head, and we say, oh,
I know.
no. But I mean, I get if you're not necessarily feeling super horny in this moment.
But like,
one last fuck, like, Outlander spoilers, but like, no, I'm not going to say anything actually, because you haven't watched it, and I'm not going to ruin that for you. No, I'm doing this for you, and I'm glad I'm doing it. But anyone that's seen Outlander, you know the scene I'm talking about, or I hope you do. So she says that she wants Ash to live and restore his cardia and allow himself to love and be happy.
No.
And he's like furious at that. And also I'm just like, oh, so we're still imagining that he's not in love. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, sure. He's pissed at this request, as if he'd be able to love literally anybody else. But she makes him promise to do as she asks, a binding oath. And he does. Then he kisses her. They do make out a bit hot and heavy for a minute, and he like works his way down her throat, and she almost pushes away, but then like kind of thinks to herself like he wasn't Colas, and Ash takes a moment to tell her they don't have to go any farther, that just having her in his arms and kissing her isn't enough. And in response, she takes off his shirt and then takes off her own shirt. So she says, yeah, but I need you naked. She gets on her knees and takes off his pants before telling him that she wants to taste him. And in this moment, I just hear Sinners.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. I just want to taste you.
Oh my God.
All right, let me go watch that for the 7th time. Ash says if she does, then he'll lose control, and he wants to lose control when he's inside her, not fucking her mouth. But that phrase gets her hot and heavier, like hotter and heavier. And she's like, fuck my mouth? And he says she can have all she wants after. And then she's like, after? So he lays her out on the grassy bank of the lake and says, keep those beautiful eyes on me. I want you to see how much I enjoy the taste of your skin.
This
So
took a turn.
We are going to do this. 38 chapters. We have been in a drought. A drought, I say.
Yes.
As he works his way, putting his mouth all over her body, he lists off the sounds that she makes that he loves, like the way she moans and the way she laughs, says his name, tells him that she loves him. There's no better sound than that. He says, because it silences all the terrible shit I've had to do and see and lets me feel hope. And Ash eats her out before working back up to fully fuck her. And when they both finish, he says, I never wanted until you.
This sequence of chapters is the first time that I cried while reading smut.
Oh.
I was like sobbing and like, it's so hot, but it's so touching.
And chapter 39, as they trade kisses, the primal essence senses something and draws Sarah's attention. And Ash notices it as well, indicator that they found Colas and he is conscious again. So that didn't take long.
Fuck.
Elias, what happened to delaying?
Seriously.
What happened? What happened?
Are you doing?
It's been hours.
God.
And they're out of time. Sarah may not be ready, but she had to be. Just like when she started out on this entire endeavor, not ready to be taken by the primal of death, but had to be nonetheless. Sarah tells Ash what she wanted before him, wanted to be known, accepted, included, talked to, and touched. Most of all, valued and needed, cherished and wanted for who she was. And Ash gave her that. She lived because of him. JLA, quit it.
Yeah.
Quit stabbing us in the fucking heart.
Like, I'm still crying at this point. I'm still,
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I just didn't have as much of a visceral connection to them as I do Poppy and Cass, so I gotta say I didn't cry, but it was very touching. Like, it got me, like, it got the feeling in my throat of, like, oh, I'm choked up. So Ash kisses her as he walks her back into the lake, and she tells him she loves him. Once again, this is so reminiscent. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Outlander, and that's getting me.
Yeah.
She says it's time, and he responds with no as he strikes at her throat. And he drinks quickly, not drawing this out, but also not causing any pain, of course, because why would he? And Sarah opens her eyes to look at the sky above them and just looks at all the thousands of stars. The embers start to dance inside her as Ash's skin gets warmer, the more of her blood that he takes in. She feels her heart slowing, sounds start to kind of go muted, and she slips into darkness. She starts slipping into darkness, I should say. The hand placed on his head, like she's kind of got a hand on his head, slips as she grows weaker, and he catches it, placing it against his own heart. So he knew she was going. Like,
Yeah.
breaking my heart. As Sarah feels peace, Ash stops, pulling his head back, saying, "Fuck the embers."
Yes.
He refuses to take them and never plan to. Instead, he's going to ascend her. No matter what anyone says, he's going to try.
Whew, my God.
He says, "I don't care what you become. I don't care as long as you're alive. As long as you don't leave me. I don't care. I want you however you come back to me."
Oh my God.
Listen, don't hate me for my hot take, okay?
That's okay.
I know we're in a really precious moment right now.
That's all right.
Does this sound like something Colas would say or do?
Megan!
Does it kind of sound like what he did for Sartoria?
Stop it right now.
I'm sorry.
Where is the spray bottle? Where's the...
I'm sorry. Listen, I had a strong gimlet last night. I was cranking this out at like midnight. I was having hot takes, okay? I was making connections, and it just, not one for one, but like it had tastes, okay? It had tastes. But
of the him being selfish, like,
yes, of like him putting the whole world aside, being like, I don't care about the rest of the world. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure I have you, no matter how you come back to me. It's very sweet, and I would never, ever, ever, like, I would never bash it for being like, no, it's actually not really touching. It is so touching. But I can't also deny the hints of selfishness within it.
I can't even argue you because it's valid.
Yeah.
No.
I still love it. It is still a super, like, incredible scene. Like, I was all over the place reading it. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But then there was still that, like, little glimmer of, like, but that's an interesting, the podcaster. I'm like, I need to make something of this. I can't just let it pass by.
Damn.
So yeah, but
I'm gonna put that in my pipe and smoke it. Fuck.
But anyway, moving on from that, he continues to kind of speak on that, saying, "The lives of millions of mortals, nor those of the gods, do not surpass yours. The realms can rot into the abyss, and all life can cease. I don't care as long as you are beside me." Like I said,
Yeah.
I think this is also where it kind of solidifies that I'm more of a Castile girly than a Nyktos girly or Ash, because I like a man who would, like, burn the world for me, but not let the world burn for me.
And
you know what I mean?
Also, I do. Also, the big difference between I get maybe attraction. I don't know if that's the right word. The big winner for Poppy and Castile versus Sarah and Nyktos, right? Because now I think I've figured it out.
Okay.
Somewhat. So with Poppy, there's no knowledge. Castile, like, knows that she's a token of the Ascended. He doesn't know her powers, right? So yeah, their relationship that forms is wholeheartedly genuine in that sense. Like, he doesn't know that she's an Atlantean. He doesn't know her background, etc. With Sarah and Nyktos knows about the deal. No, he doesn't know about I'm sorry. I'm trying to think how to explain.
Yeah, he knows, like, it was his father that made the deal, and he brings it up a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so it's like he knows that, I don't know, it's just the weight of the knowledge going into the relationship is so different.
Definitely.
So
I mean, I also hazard to guess it's more mature in that way. Like it
yeah.
feels much. I mean, they are in reality older as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I don't know if Nyktos is as old as Castile, like as far as like parallel to their ages when they meet and like get together with Sarah and Poppy respectively.
Yeah, we'd have
I
to
don't
check
know.
our visions compendium for that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Nyktos and Sarah's relationship always felt had that more of a mature kind of uh tint to it, I guess,
Yeah.
versus Castile and Poppy was much more innocent. I think that's also because seeing it through Poppy's, eyes
Mm-hmm.
versus Sarah's eyes when they're two vastly different ages. Like what, Sarah's 23, 24 when she
Mm-hmm.
finally gets taken.
Mm-hmm.
Poppy's 18.
Right.
Very
Right.
different there too.
It is. It is. Yeah. So it's just a different caliber for them where
Yeah.
Nikto saying stuff like this does hit on a different level. I mean, you're
Right.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But this is
I
why
have no argument.
Yeah, no, and there doesn't need to be. I love that that's kind of one of the reasons why I think we both wanted to do this, like
Oh
this
yeah, for
series in
sure.
particular, but also the podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
why we love our book club so much, because we all are lean on different sides of this Nyktos verse Castile spectrum.
Castile, yes.
Or even Kieran and Reaver and Nektus
Yeah,
too. Like
yeah.
they're all included. Hell, bring Ios and Tawny and everybody else into it too. Like why not?
Yep.
So yeah, there's all different kinds of reasons, and it's really cool to be able to reflect and pick apart and acknowledge certain things and be like, yes, red flag to you, not to me. So Ash is pleading with Sarah not to die, to fuck the greater good. He says he isn't good without her. Ash then rips open his wrist, and Sarah drinks from it, whether by instinct or desire. So even though she's like super weak in this moment, she's still kind of whispering back and forth with him, pleading with him to be like, you have to do this. You can't back out. Like, no, I can't. I can't, Ash. And she's just like, no, fuck it all. Like, you're gonna do it, actually. And so yeah, she starts taking in his blood, and then she noticed that her like throat starts to not work, and she starts not being able to feel anything. She doesn't feel warmth, she doesn't feel coldness, and then she just drifts into black. And then she starts to see memories. So first, she sees herself as a child looking at the painting of her father, seeing where her freckles come from. Then she shifts to 9 or 10 after training with Holland and eating dinner alone, thinking about her mother. And then that dives deeper into a memory of her and her mother, where she's hiding from her mom, thinking that she's never seen her mom happy. Like, she always seems very sad. And her mother calls out saying she knows she's hiding, come on out. Sarah tells her that, because they're in a garden area, she says she's here because she likes the way it smells among the flowers. And her mother tells her that they're called Nepeta blue flowers. Sarah goes to leave her mother alone since she apparently isn't feeling well, but her mother stops her, and she essentially just tells Sarah in a few words that she reminds her of her father before leaving Sarah alone. So we get more context here that Sarah's mother is also so disconnected and cold to her because she looks exactly like the man that she loved and lost. So damn you, JLA, for making us sympathetic once again to a character that we were like, no, if you die in rotten hell, we could give less of a fuck.
Right.
And now we're like,
right.
Oh, she has layers too. We are transferred to another memory. This time, Sarah is sitting next to Odetta, and she's younger than the previous memory, though. And Odetta tells her, child, the fates know you were touched by life and death, creating someone that should not be. How could she be anything but afraid? Great thing to tell a child, also.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about, like, how could your mother be anything but afraid of you? It's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
No boundaries here.
None. Odetta was a crabby old fuck.
She was.
But important here that the fates know you were touched by life and death, creating someone that should not be. Sarah puts two and two together that by saying creating someone that should not be, does Sarah play a part in creating someone that should not be? We know she did. The next memory, Sarah is 17 and is speaking with Holland. He says he doesn't fear death, but instead fears life. He says life is vicious. When stolen, it can become the ruin of realms, a wrath that even death will hide from. Yep.
That's pretty accurate.
Because, yeah, we've heard on a couple of different accounts that death caused mass ruin in realms. So
Yeah.
now she shifts to another memory and sees Ezra. They are sitting together as Ezra tells her that Sarah matters to her. Then moves forward. Now she sees Jadis and Reaver sleeping against her. Next, Ios and Bella. She sees Ector, Scion, and then Ash and herself at their coronation. Ash calls her name, begging her not to leave him, and he sounds terrified. He is yelling at this point, "Fucking Fates, I can't lose you. I can't. I love you. I do. Fates, I do. I fucking love you. How can I not? How can this not be love? I love you even if I cannot. I'm in love with you." And it's so sweet. I hate a deathbed confession. I fucking hate it.
I'm right there with you.
Touching words, beautifully written, very emotional. Like, it's one of my pet peeves.
It took you this long? Like, it took this to make you realize?
Especially, like, I will give other scenarios the benefit of the doubt, like, as far as, say, like, ACOTAR spoilers for Cassian and Nesta in, what is it? Akawar, when she calls out to him and he's like, "I'll find you in the next life," whatever. I'm like, okay, they didn't know they were gonna die at that point. However, they were going into battle, so there's that. But, like, this one is like, you knew for so long that this was going to be happening, and yet you don't come out and actually say the words until she's literally, like, blinking from existence. Like, it just, I'm like, it's beautiful and it's wonderfully written, but, like, it's just one of my pet peeves in these kind of books. But that's okay. Everyone's got them. Chapter 40. Sarah feels no pain, happiness, fear, excitement, nothing. She's only floating in the darkness. She hears a whisper calling for her, and it's Odetta. And she opens her eyes, and she sees a pinprick of light appeared in the darkness, becoming a shade of swirling sapphire. Light sparked at its tail, and emerald shot out, wrapping itself around the blue. Rich brown followed, and then the three lights spun around a dark center. In the center is a past, beginning of everything, and it started with an explosion. This sounds a whole lot like she's just witnessing the Big Bang.
Yeah.
That's, as I was reading this, I'm like, this is the Big Bang creating the, like, existence.
Yes.
So yeah, the explosion is energy, and it creates the lands and mountains from nothing. Sarah sees the creation of the realms and the ancients, then the creations of the primals. She sees the primal of life reach into a draken blood-soaked soil and lifts out a baby whose red eyes turn blue and then an array of olive colors before settling to brown, the first mortal born. So we've just witnessed the first mortal. Cool. She sees the mortals change from things ancients rejoiced to the mortals destroying what came before them, and she understood. Death must always come. Life always continues on. There must always be balance. Ether flows into her, and she sees what would happen if the cycle was broken, the horrors that would come. The ancients who'd gone to ground must never surface. Like, this is not good. It, like, real bad shit. End of Cabin in the Woods level bad. Like, that's what I picture when they talk about the ancients rising. I'm like, it's the end of Cabin in the Woods when you see the massive hand explode out of the fucking mountain. Like, that's what I imagine. She was life. Death's steadfast companion.
God almighty.
So Sarah now officially slowly starts to wake up, feeling the pain in her body and power within her. Someone is holding her in a lake. So she's still in the lake. It has not been long at all. Ash is still holding on to her. He's calling her name, Sarah, but she isn't entirely conscious of who the name belongs to. He calls her Lisa, and time stops as ether shoots into the air from her chest. A massive shockwave erupts from her, throwing him from her, so they're just blasted apart from each other.
God almighty!
Before the energy sucks back into her, and it was all she became. My God. That's intense.
It is intense.
Chapter 41. Sarah sleeps and dreams peacefully. A silver white wolf sits on the bank of a lake, watching her. She hears Ash, or a voice of a man, talking to her, telling her of when she was young, seeing him in woven form, and not being scared of her. Time passed. More voices joined in, telling their stories. Mostly she hears his voice, telling her about herself and their story. So Poppy truly did hear Cass the whole time. So, like, if you bring her back and she doesn't remember, I call bullshit, Jennifer.
Yes.
Do not do this to us,
That's
please.
like, Wait, yeah. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
Like,
there is a way.
I will accept if she comes back as Poppy with Poppy's memories and also Satoria's memories. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
Do not make her a different person. I can't.
Yeah, because like if that happens, then what if the memories like start meshing together? Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm fucking nauseous. I'm gonna make myself sick.
I'm terrified. Like, and we'll just like when you read through this chapter, you really get to hear from like Sarah's point of view and how all of these stories are reading to her and how she's like seeing all of these people and hearing them and not like being aware of who they are, but more like what they are to her. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
So we hear Ash tell Sarah about what he felt for her and how he came to care for her over time. More time passes. Ash tells her about what it's like to be inside her. And she remembers what it was like to fuck and make love with him. So she is starting to remember bits and pieces. She continues floating, but feels less weightless and more solid. Ash talks about ethos, how he continued on after the loss of his love. So then she remembers, oh yeah, her king, her husband. So she's like, aha!
Yeah.
And then she remembers Nectus and what he told her about, you know, when the time comes that she's ready to talk, he's ready to listen. And she knows that life is worth living. Life is worth living. So more time passes, and Ash tells her he will always wait for her. Chapter 42. Instead of a wolf on the bank of the lake, there's now a large feline, a female, and the color of moonlight with green eyes sliced with silver.
Fucking Penelope, maybe?
No.
No.
Wait, because I wrote a note about it, and then I removed it. Then she sees two smaller cats come up from behind her with darker coats. She locks eyes with the large one and sees herself looking back. So I also thought it was Poppy because it also points out like green eyes, and I'm like,
yeah,
Poppy, but it's not. It is Sarah. It is Sarah, and we know that the two smaller cats are Iris and Malek. We now get confirmation as to why Castile shifted into a cave cat, because that's what Sarah could shapeshift into. She could shift into a cave cat. Even though I'm pretty sure the book says that it's not exactly like a cave cat, so I'm like, okay, so you're just a different breed maybe, but it's connected. They're cats for a reason. So small twitches and spasms start to grow like through her toes and legs and fingers and arms, and Sarah starts to wake up. Her throat is too dry, and she feels the need to feed. And she gets a whiff of Ash, and she's like, ooh. She knows he's a primal, like hers. Like, I picture the shark in Finding Nemo. Bruce, when he sniffs the blood, and she's like, ooh, that's mine. He talks her through waking up, and she's not completely herself, but mostly. Ash offers his neck, so he's like sitting up on the bed next to her, and he offers her neck to her, telling her to feed, and she jumps into his lap and sinks her fangs into his throat. So hot.
Yeah.
He tells her to release her fangs, and she does, and then she senses his heart on and starts to feel like him touching her. Ash gives her what she needs, so they like have a little bit of like back and forth, and now he does what we discussed with Lady M about what Castile couldn't do. So don't tell me that Nyktos can do it and Castile couldn't. That Sarah's straddling him as she drinks from him, and he like lifts her by the butt so that he can scoot his pants off, and then puts her back down on his dick. And that's exactly what Castile did. And we said the logistics didn't make sense, so it doesn't make sense here either. So Sarah's straddling him as she drinks from him and fucks him that way. And that's hot.
Yeah.
He asks if she remembers him, who she is, and she replies she will always know him, Ash.
Yeah.
Chapter 43. So remember how I said we were in a drought? Jail is about to flood us.
We're in a fucking monsoon now.
Yeah. Ash's look turns feral, and shadows appear along his shoulders and travel up her arms and against her breasts. They're both kind of turned on, but there's something in his eyes. And Sarah's then like pushed onto her back by the ether. So it's not restraining her, but it's kind of pushing her where it wants her to go. He tells her when he releases her, she needs to run.
What in the dark romance?
Excuse me? My ears perked up and I said, what? He says, do you want to read it or do you want me to read it? I realize you haven't read any of the quotes this whole time, so go for it.
Here we go. You need to run, Sarah. Fast. Faster than you ever have before. You may be able to outrun me. You have to try. Because I need you. Your heat, your silky tightness. I need to be inside you.
As if you could outrun me. As if you could fight me off. That's all I can hear.
We're never going to get away from it, ever.
Ever. Never,
Ever.
ever. It's with us forever.
It is.
So he says, moving on back to like the actual hot parts of this, he says he won't be able to hold on to his mortal form much longer. And I'm like, you don't say.
What does that mean?
Yeah. And he says he doesn't want to hurt her. He says, if you don't run, if I take you, I will take you like this. And I will do so as a primal. And all I can say is promise.
Yeah. Like, just do it already.
Yeah. So she doesn't move. And he merely says, I tried to warn you. I'm exploding.
Oh my God.
As his shadows pull her arms above her head and pin them against the bed up there, she notices his dick is not only thicker, but longer. Yeah. In fact, his whole body, his presence is bigger. And he's also got his shadow wings out. I'm dead.
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty, like, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Fucking gargoyles. Fucking
I
gargoyle
did not. I did not
cartoon.
think of that. I just think of the gif when the guy when you get your nails done and he goes,
Yeah, I can't. I don't know why the fucking cartoon gargoyles. Just the intro where he's like, ah. I can't. Okay.
We need more on-screen shadow people to pull from for this.
We do.
Possible?
We're running out. We got
enough
pickings here.
So yeah, and I'm pretty sure like this whole journey of reading From Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire was like a slow roll into me finally reading dark romance, but this scene in particular got me like, oh, I need to read dark romance. And I've started and it's great. So yeah, all of him is just bigger. So Sarah's just for the fuck of her life. So his shadow on her calf snakes up her leg to her thigh and then between her legs, and then it spreads her open and goes inside. Oh my God.
I know.
And I'm really glad that this is overwriting any reference I have for a tendril inanimate thing to go into somebody, because the only other reference I had for that was Evil Dead, and it's a much different vibe, obviously.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm very glad that this is over. I'm glad this is overwriting that.
Yes.
Because this is great.
Mm-hmm.
So then it tilts her hips up and it's like supporting her booty. And then the shadow goes between the cheeks. And he takes a moment, doesn't move in. He just says, I want to hear you say exactly what you want from me. And I want you to say it with my name. My God. And this is where Nyktos gets a point where Castile did not, is that he is asking for the explicit consent of touching the booty hole. Castile did not do that. So I'll give Nyktos a point. And so Sarah replies, please fuck my pretty pussy and ass, Ash. And I cringe at that.
I did too.
Personally.
I did too.
I hate when people say, like, pussy is
I know.
just...
It's
no
really
good word, honestly.
There's
I
not.
haven't found one.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, even if you were to say vagina, I'm like, no, even still, just say fuck me.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, but yeah, anyway. Still hot, though. And he does, with the shadows, only, and his mouth. He eats her out. Once she climaxes, he rolls her onto her stomach, pulls her onto her knees, and then fucks her from behind.
Yep.
My God.
Carol had me read this in Amaranth.
I bet she did.
And I was like, I think it was like at the, what part that I guess the part that everyone kind of assumes that it's about to happen. Yeah, when it snakes up her leg, I was like, oh, this is happening. This is happening. Now, I haven't read any like monster romance books or anything, so I know that that's a very big, like, you know, niche category that stuff like this happens. So this was the first time I had read that. I've read a shit ton of dark romance, and I was like, oh, we're doing it. We're doing it. Let's go.
Yeah, all for a shadow tendril. The second you refer to that thing as a tentacle, I'm out.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
I'm all set. Love that for you if that's your game, but no thank you.
I was going to say to each their own on this.
Exactly.
Megan and I support all opinions, facets, etc. on whatever media and literature you consume, but for us it's going to be a no.
That's where we say all set.
Yeah.
Keep it a shadow, thank you.
Yep.
So chapter 44 is she lays on the bed as he kneels between her legs and they trade I love yous, and then he eats her out again and she climaxes again, and I'm so jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a knock at the door. And it's Nectus asking if everything's okay. And does this scene ring any bells from Blood and Ash? Maybe? But
Read
Ash,
the room.
literally, once again, Draken are autistic.
Check. Do you guys need water? Do you need any snacks?
Need a condom? Nope. Okay.
Yes, the Draken are on the spectrum, and it's exactly why I'm going as one to the bar.
I cannot wait to see. Oh my god, I can't wait to see you. Yeah, Nectus is knocking on the door asking if everything's okay, but Ash ignores him and continues to tease Sarah with his tongue and then adds like a finger. So he's talking to her while like ignoring Nectus.
Multitasking.
And then Nectus says, I think I heard Sarah screaming. Ash is like, no, you didn't. And then Ash says, no, pretty sure I did.
I just spit my drink out.
Sarah? Oh, wait.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
So then Sarah makes to like rise up on her elbows, but Ash stops her by putting a hand like right below her throat and tells her, I'm not done with you.
Oh.
Or just, oh my god. There's something about a man saying that to the, like, oh, there's something about people saying that to each other.
The dominance, yeah.
Gets me. So Ash threatens to kill Nectus if he doesn't leave. And Sarah says that she's fine. And Nectus says, well, you don't sound fine. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, Nectus. And he eventually leaves calling her Maya Lisa. And she is, in fact, the queen of the gods. I just fucking love Nectus so much.
I do too. I am him. He is me.
So, chapter 45. So she says, oh, if I'm queen of the gods, that would make Ash king of the gods. And she tells him to fuck his queen. Oh my god. And he does. Fast and hard. Later, they're both laying in bed facing each other. Also, I just need to say, they're not cleaning up in between these rounds.
Oh, absolutely not.
She must be so filled with fucking sperm.
Can you? It's so.
I can't imagine the. Like, I'm sorry to get disgusting, but this is where my brain goes because I'm like, ew. I can't do. I need the cleanup immediately.
Aren't y'all sticky? Can you imagine how that room? Can you imagine
stank in that room? Open a window. Oh my god.
Put a plug in the walls.
Yeah, and it's like, hey. Bodies can stank. It doesn't matter what size you are, but being a bigger girl, I know I get stinky.
Yeah.
So, like, we know Sarah's a bigger girl. I just know that the two of them are working up sweats and that thing is ripe. So, take a bath. Take a second. Go fuck in the bath.
Yeah.
You know? Mix it up. Anyway, my intrusive thoughts taking over. They're both laying in bed facing each other. And all I could think of in this moment, I've never seen A Star Is Born, but just the clip of Bradley Cooper, I'm just looking at you.
My God.
So, he fills her in that some primals don't remember their memories when they're waking up, or it takes time to remember who they were, and some don't remember at all. And I cry, just a little tear, just being like,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Then they start fucking again. JLA really said, I've kept you waiting this whole book. Feast, my children.
Here you go.
But when Sarah feels his fangs against her throat, she momentarily gets uneasy and like experiences a brief burst of panic. Sarah turns him on his back and rides him until they both finish again because he's about to stop her, essentially sensing the panic. And then she's like, nope, I'm fine. And then pushes him over onto his back. And so in case anyone's keeping track, that's 5 times now. 5 times. Ash asks, with no break, not breaks, yes, no cleanup. Ash asks what made her feel unease. He could sense the unease in her, as I said. And she tells him that I don't know. And she brushes it off. And they do need to talk about serious things, though, like Colas. So they do take a break from the fucking to have serious conversation. Every primal would have felt Sarah's ascension, and Colas was already weakened prior to it. It'll essentially be another hit, with her now being the true primal of life. Now, it's just a matter of if the public and other primals accept or reject her, but they'll deal with it together. Ash tells her that regarding the deal his father made, every year that passed and her promised bride wasn't born, he celebrated. He refused to take her as his consort because he had a dream and saw her in the lake dying and saw himself. So now we're getting background on why he didn't come sooner to take her as consort. Like, why he didn't take her the first time, essentially, and then those years after. So he saw her dying in the lake, essentially what just happened, but instead she died. She didn't come back. He was determined to keep that dream from becoming reality after seeing her grow up into the woman that she is, and so he had his cardia removed right before bringing her to the Shadowlands. So this was not something he had done centuries ago.
Yep.
So if we remember going back to the first book, when they first arrived in the Shadowlands and she bumped into him and he like got all bitter and like winced from it, that's because he was still healing.
Yep.
We thought that he was being just a bitchy man, but he was hurt.
He was hurting.
Sarah can sense there's more to be said because she has the primal of life's intuition now. So she thinks that she's an official know-it-all. And wouldn't that be so helpful for Poppy? But here's hoping.
Right.
Imagine the relief that's going to come from Kieran knowing Poppy's never going to ask any more questions. She's going to find a way. Our girl will find a way to ask questions, okay?
She'll flip the script and be like, "Did you know? Did you know?"
Oh my god, she's gonna become a did you know her, yeah. Ash also saw in the dream that the mortal and God's realms died at his hands after she died. He'd fallen in love with her and ended the realms because he lost her. So that's why also he had his cardia removed, to prevent him from falling in love with her. So that when he did lose her, he wouldn't destroy the realms.
No.
But even with his cardia removed, it like, he almost describes that it repaired itself and he still fell in love with her because they're heartmates. So it's almost like the heartmate bond like regrew his cardia or something. Like,
yeah,
what's the organ that can regrow? Pancreas? Can't your pancreas like regenerate or something?
Yeah, it's not your liver.
It's not your liver. Or no, it kidney?
It might be. No, it's not your kidney. I know it's not that.
It might be a liver because I feel like
I think it's your liver.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's
like,
your liver.
Is cardia like a liver? It can essentially regenerate. Interesting.
Yeah,
but only under special heartmate circumstances, of course.
Yeah, there's stipulations around it. Okay?
Yes, and that's also confirmed because that's how they could dream walk. As the primal of life, she can also summon the fates. So if she wants to see Holland, she can simply be like, "Oh, Holland, come here! I want to see you." And a rush of knowledge also hits her, along with all of these other things, that the essence of life is now fully restored, which means the rot is likely cured. So Sarah leaps from the bed and runs to the balcony to see the sky is still gray, but it's slightly different. Like, she describes it as looking almost like a sunset kind of deal with like purplish and orange hues kind of running through it. And Ash follows her out there, and they're both naked, by the way, just busted out of the room naked. And then she sees that grass is growing where it had been just gray. So he confirms that she stopped the rot in both the Shadow Realm, the Shadowlands, and the Mortal Realm. So she actually accomplished her goal. She did it.
She did.
And yes, we need fan art.
We need fan art of that scene. A lot of these scenes.
Yes. So if anyone wants to draw it up, feel free. We would love to share it.
Just for the pleasure of our eyeballs. That would be lovely.
Just for, yeah, please. But yeah, also like a fan art, if anyone has fan art that they've like haven't seen come up and they were like, "Oh, I love this piece of fan art from Flesh and Fire" or something, shoot it our way. It's becoming scarce to find.
Yes.
The AI art is infiltrating everything.
It's so bad. It is the rot. It is the rot.
Yes, it is the rot. So if you have any that you love that you haven't seen us share, please do let us know. So, chapter 46. Ash goes into the hallway to speak with Rain, and Sarah sees a small wooden box and brings it back to the bed. Inside the box are all of her hair ties that Ash has kept every time he took out her braid. So he collected all of them. You might notice that I'm not saying because I am a ponytail hair tie girly, okay? I live off of these things. Where is she getting her new hair ties? Because it's not like she can run to CVS to grab some more when he takes the one that she's using. So, like, what are the hair ties made from? I'm curious, are they just bits of leather that are tied together? Like, I would be so pissed if I had to keep hunting down new hair ties only to find that my husband had been collecting them and just keeping them from me. Like, I would be livid. I'd be like, do you have any idea how much time I've spent trying to go get more, and you've just had them to yourself for no reason?
This question needs to go on our list for JLA.
Yes. So if you're going to the opening of Miss Willa's bookshop, or if you're at Miss Willa's bookshop, if I am blessed enough that JLA is there when I get to go, that's gonna be what I ask her. Be like, I need to know what the hair ties are made of, because
where did Sarah keep getting them from?
Yeah,
because we know that she's not just walking around this entire book with her hair down.
Exactly. She keeps braiding it.
This is vital information. This is vital information.
What's the hair tie industry in the Shadowlands? Like,
yeah.
So this, I'm sorry, but this moment, as touching as Sarah finds it, it is not cute to me.
It's very valid.
I would become enraged.
It is valid.
So they trade cute remarks, snuggling in bed, while Ash gropes Sarah's ass. And he tells her he wants the kind of marriage where they trust each other. And Sarah says that she trusts him irrevocably. And in this moment, Twilight strikes again. Just a word, just a single word. I don't know why that word stuck so much.
Or one phrase, say it.
Just one friend. No, it's not. That's not the say it line.
No, I know. I was saying just any fantasy book that has the line,
Got it.
Say it.
Yeah, correct. Yes. So he says that he wants them to share both the easy and the hard things. He says he wants the kind of trust where we know we can be honest and feel comfortable knowing that anything we share will not change how we see each other. Goals for any of them.
Yeah.
They agree they already have that kind of trust, and he tells her she knows that he will always see her as strong, will love her, want her, and need her all the same, regardless of what will happen or has happened. So he is in this moment saying the hard thing without saying it, and it's incredibly sweet.
He is.
And do you want to read this longer quote for him, because it's really cute and touching?
Yes, add it to my Nyktos soapbox.
As a Nyktos girly.
Let me do it. Okay, he says, because even if we weren't mates of the heart, what you made me feel from the moment you stood in the Shadow Temple years ago to every moment between then and now would have still made me fall in love with you. Your courage and strength, your beauty and utter fearlessness, your humor, and most of all, that softness of yours you share with me. It would have made sure my cardia somehow came back. I believe that. I know that. Because you're the first person I have ever felt has truly accepted me. No matter what I've done, I believe that. I know that. Because you're the first person I have ever felt truly accepted me. No matter what I've done in my past or what has been done to me. You're the first to refuse to allow any more drops of blood to be inked onto my flesh. You were the first to ever make me feel anything that mattered. You're simply my first, Sarah, and you will be my last. It's sweet.
It's very sweet.
It's very sweet.
And so knowing that he is referring to what happened with Colas, she says it was nothing, like how Vesey said the same thing, the same lie. Ash tells her when she's ready to talk about it, he'll be waiting and ready to listen. Sarah remembers what Holland had told her before they left from speaking with him and Penelope. He'd known Ash could love her. Likely that he already was in love with her, but couldn't say anything, being an RA and all. There was plenty to worry about and plan for, but for now, Sarah wanted to enjoy being with her husband. The book ends as they, quote, come together, making love. Sploosh! And that's the end of the book. Eerie, yes? Eerie that it's ending so happy.
It's so happy.
This is the last book in the series, right?
Right.
No.
This is what sets up the anticipation for Born of Blood and Ash so much more, because like we know that Colas is awake and we know that things are gonna get fucking bad, but they're so good right now.
They're so good and beautiful and touching and sweet, and it needs to stay like that forever, obviously. So yeah, because every other book in this series has ended on a cliffhanger or some anticipatory, like, you know, line or something, and it's like, this one ends in them literally coming, and it's like, oh cool, okay,
great.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I literally kept, like, you turn the page and you're just like,
what?
Oh, there's no one's like busting through the door
That's
or
it.
saying, "Oh no, someone's attacking us," or nothing like that. Okay.
I feel like that tactic as an author is so, what is the word that I'm looking for? Not venomous, but so like a panther prowling. That is exactly
So
what she's
sneaky.
doing. Yes,
Ah.
she's like, I'm just going to leave this here, and then recedes into the shadows.
Exactly. Well, thankfully, there is another book and it is already out and we are
Yes.
already reading it.
Mhm.
I believe I've stopped at chapter 37 where I'm at right now. So
Mhm.
I know it's supposed to be a big chunk of chapters that a lot of people said I had to react to. So I'll make sure to do that in one way or another.
And I will be
I'm
catching
scared.
up. I will be
Yeah.
catching up this weekend.
Yeah. But I mean, I gotta say, like, so far, the book, not my favorite
Mhm.
of all of them, but I'll be very interested to reread it for, for our episodes and then take notes on it and kind of be more
Yeah.
attentive to certain things to see how it goes on that front. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to doing that. So as I said, fan art for these latter books are
Yep.
very scarce as far as certain moments from within the books. So we've just kind of got some general art that I had to show because some of this is so fucking cute. So we have like a threefer first up by @Zumi and it's adorable. It's
It
Nectus,
is.
Ios, and Reaver.
It's
And
super cute.
I love them. I love
I
them
do
so
too.
much. And once again, I forget that Reaver is blonde.
Yeah.
I constantly forget that Reaver is blonde. Anytime I see Reaver art, I'm like, oh, who is that blonde guy? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's the guy that we like. So I just love the style of those. We never really get to see Io, so it was so fun to see
Mhm.
art of her. This next one is by @LazyChild_art. And this one is so touching. It's Sarah and Jadis
It's so sweet.
having a little snooze and they're so
Aw.
cute. I could look at it for hours. They're just so sweet and
They
she's such a little
are.
baby. And we just, I feel like you don't see a lot of Jadis, period.
Mhm.
So I was
Mhm.
so happy to find some Jadis art, especially the two of them together because they're just the
Yeah.
freaking sweetest. And the last one is a return author by @art.bymickey. And this one is actually Sarah when she is sleeping, and Nyktos and Nektas are kind of there watching over her as he talks to her and tells her their story. So it's really that is one that I was able to find that I was really glad that someone's drawn up that scene. Because I think it's really quite nice. And it's just a very interesting change up from kind of the positioning that I always pictured with Castile and Kieran watching over Poppy. It's like, it's just so, it's interesting how alike and also different they are. So yeah, was super, super happy with that art. So thank you to all. And that was really great. So now moving on. Oh, the back half of this book. It's filled to the brim with like the scaries and the goodies. Like we get a badass takedown, a touching reunion, and then so much yummy smut. So much. It's delicious.
It is. It's really good.
Like, even reading this twice, I'm still, like I said, turning the page waiting for the cliffhanger. But because we've been conditioned at this point.
Yeah.
But thankfully, that's not the case. And we will be covering the Born in Blood and Ash later on, but more to come on that.
She said 9 books in, I'll give you a breather.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, what a great happy ending. And to what was probably the most tense start we've ever had to one of these books.
Yeah.
And can we leave it here? No, we do have another book. Great. So speaking on those, we won't have the episodes for Born of Blood and Ash out for another couple of weeks because, as we've already clarified, we will be busy dancing our booties off this weekend.
That's right.
So don't you worry, though. We're getting so much content, and our editor extraordinaire, Rachel, will be putting together a fun post-ball episode as we decompress, dry our tears, ice our feet, and prep for the epic conclusion of the Flush and Fire series. I was going to ask if you had any final thoughts, but I don't know if that...
I was just going to say, I'll just be ready to stare off and dissociate against my ceiling as we wait for September.
Yeah, true that. At least it's what? By that point, it'll almost be the end of July, so we'll just have August, and then so maybe like what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks?
Yeah.
So it's not terrible. I'm thankful that it's not a long, long time. But thanks again for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed this crash out episode of Blood, Books, and Binge Watching.